Okay, y'all, for those of you that are coming, say welcome to the stream. And yeah, we're back in court, so just going to stream it.
The continuation of the last we had off without the jury being present, and it relates to Mr. Grusin's prior testimony, his qualifications, and was part of the basis for why his testimony when talk about having trained and being trained by prof. He said that he's not himself in testimony. I think it's important to keep that in mind, talking about the thing that defense is bringing up.
Well, sorry, I was thinking about it. And if we get to that, if we get to that place in this testimony, I have an instruction that it essentially mirrors and informs the jury that Mr. Grusin isn't an expert on the subject of psychiatry or as testimony. So, and it gives of mind, he can give an opinion regarding context, those sorts of things. But that was
in relation to, I think what you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm on the wrong track on this, but is to that question that we've been asked. Some witnesses of in anxiety and being on Medipam. Those phone calls and this for him to do that on innate, and you just said the statute number, but I'm
innate 109.
109. Thank you. I think there is a sufficient basis already for him to do that. See, we're not to that point yet to that I'm going to be asking that. There certainly is a sufficient basis for that.
All right. Well, we will cross that bridge. When, is there anything else that we need to address at this point in time?
No, Judge.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Yeah, that can't. Yeah, can't. That's over here. I don't know what is right buttons are mine over here, so you don't have to worry about that.
Judge Wynn will need the back
Right.
on. Yeah.
And Mr. Singh, if you would resume your seat, witness, I just heard that you're still oath. Okay. Okay. Gloves. Oh, that's right. Okay.
The court doesn't have his hand out to everybody.
No, I was about to suggest that they can keep checks. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. May all be seated. For the roll 20 or 1358 people, Letitia Stauch, like the jury room. Ladies and gentlemen, when we our break of testimony from Mr. Grusing, or we, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just so the same page as far as the record, we just listened to a portion view from timestamps 1 hour, 1 minute, 20 seconds through 1:20 minutes, seconds. In this portion of your view, that fire in the basement, do you remember that?
Yes.
She gives you some information there, specific, like Kobe Bryant. Was it consistent that when you would start getting into particular points of interest as it relates to the alleged crimes here, that she would give these strange details?
Yes, and that was considered calls as well.
In your perspective, was that another distraction to sort of take these tangents off of the main path of what you're trying to advise?
Yes.
Cell phones, please.
Apparently, the cell phone will judge.
Whoever.
You had asked about this fire in this particular portion in like color of flame, those height of the flame, and those questions.
Well, as I explained before the video, the candle was a significant incident. She had been talking about that since February 3rd I came on, that Gannon sustained serious burns from that caused him even to bleed. And I wanted to see how she described not only the candle, but the fire itself and how he was injured.
What perspective of that either reluctance or unwillingness to share details of the fire, the flames, the height of the flames, why is that potentially significant to you in this interview?
Well, I tried multiple times her to explain to me what she saw, and I tried to give her different prompts on maybe even motioning with her hand, how tall it might be, or how hot it was, or colors, and she was not doing that.
Okay. There was also discussion about the burns on Gannon. She describes on one hand that there were little burns on his arms, and then says, by my feeling, any significance to that? That seems to be some divergent statement of these burns.
Yes, in our phone call on February 13th, she was saying Gannon was peeling and peeling his burns and that they were very bloody. That's a lot different from how she was describing those to me in this interview.
In that particular, you're referring back to a different one of these recorded calls that we listened to.
Correct.
Did that appear to be, from your perspective, a way to explore be blood on his walls and in his bedroom?
Yes.
So again, to explain away important details in the investigation.
Yes.
In this particular session of the fire in the basement, she gives a long description about opening window. People are sleeping upstairs, everybody is, but then Gannon ends up downstairs. Did that appear to be an isolation of Gannon, based on the way you're hearing that?
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me at the time on why he would be back down there, but I decided not to press.
Does that also, I guess, building on that, the fact that she describes all the window opened, we're talking about mid-January, likely very cold in there. Was that significant at all to you?
Yeah, I wasn't really taking in all of that, but I didn't think from talking with El Paso, the sheriff's office, was such a cause for so much smoke and inhalation, and windows being opened.
Okay. Next, I want to ask, during this interview, did you ask her about whether she went to work on that Monday, January 27th?
Yes, I did.
Okay. To 1 hour, 27 minutes flat. And we're going to play from 1 hour to 1 hour, 29 minutes and 42 seconds.
I said, I told Albert, I said, hey, I'll get that home. But the plan was, that was, like, the plan was, I was not
starting, when was that plan?
December, so I was just going to try to use like days. I didn't.
Right. What did you tell your school as far as why you didn't show up that day?
For that day, I didn't talk to them about anything.
Your school, you didn't?
That day.
Did you just not show? Class is waiting on you?
No. Okay, so what happened was I changed the because I was like, okay, I wasn't going to be a teacher anymore. I have to do something until like the whole flight attendant. So I had to do something and just not have money or whatever. So I don't do anything. I would do a long-term position, the regular subbing position. And then, so then I just, at that point, I was going to just call work.
Right.
I could do whenever I worked.
Scheduled to show up in Monday morning?
From the school I work at anymore. I didn't even complete it. So it wasn't even, I wasn't
They
even.
weren't counting on you to show up that day or
But I hadn't signed any contracts. I hadn't like done anything with them because the whole thing's not going to be teaching.
okay. Yeah, I get you didn't sign contracts, but when for you to come in to do something on Monday and you had to call in.
I never called them. I already told
Did
them.
you text down or
No,
something?
on Thursday or Friday, I'd already told them. Okay. On Thursday or Friday, I'd already told them that I wasn't, I didn't go in Friday either. Like, I'd already told them I wasn't. So it was like, you're asking me about if I told them Monday, but I'd already told prior that.
Oh, you'd already told them, so you didn't have to tell them you're not coming in on Monday?
Right, because I already told him because on my dad's side, someone who passed away. The prior week.
So, Mr. Grusing, when she's giving you this information, did you have already about her employment on that Monday?
I had, I think in the 4 o'clock hour, she had texted to say one of her relatives had got hit by a car and was killed, and that's why she was not coming into work.
And the way that she's describing it, it sounds like she's saying that this was a text she sent the previous week to a different school as opposed to the one that she was now supposed to work at on Monday, 27th.
That's correct.
What was significant of that to you?
I was attempting to do her own timeline that she had provided us, the Sunday night burn injuries, and then what happened Monday morning. And that was the logical thing that she should have been described to me. And then,
Okay.
like you said, she put it back on either Thursday or Friday.
Okay. The reason that she gives in that portion of the interview is that she didn't want to, right? Did you ever say in this part of the interview or any other part of the interview or phone call having any sort of mental health anxiety issues as it relates?
Not that I listened to. No.
Was it more along the lines of she was just not in teaching because of the current? Following that portion of the discussion, did you ask her to give you a statement about what happens on Monday, January 27th?
I did.
Does she then in her answer, she's asks you, I'm going to need some help from you, Your Honor. We're going to jump to 1 hour, 32 minutes and 47 seconds and play through 1 hour, 46 minutes and 45 seconds.
That's kind of long.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So tell me about the next morning. So now you're at home,
Right.
Elena's at school. Tell me what happens then.
Right. So this is where I need help from everybody.
And you can get help. Like I said, I've had some high-level informants that have told me horrific things. We've had to relocate, can get different names. But to do that, to kick that in motion, we need to know the story. We can't just say,
Right.
oh, someone got really important information.
Right. Well, that's where I would need someone to help guide me through this, because I want to help more than anything. But
That's why, because I'm representing Denver FBI,
Right.
and then I have the ability to pull resources from clients. Behavior analysis and everything comes out of there.
Right.
It's called CERN, which is our incident response group. This was a big enough case that the supervisor of the FBI asked me to come down from Denver, and I get out there. So
Right.
you are going to have better resources in this room right now. And I'm not bragging.
Right.
I've just been doing this stuff for a long time.
Right.
If you tell me what happens, and then you need protection, we can do all that stuff. But he doesn't have those capabilities. ATF doesn't. No. DEA just investigates drugs, and they're very good at it.
Right.
But the FBI worldwide, and we have bosses Bogota, Russia to China to get a lot more funding, because when September 11th happened, that changed everything for us. We were the nation's #1 law enforcement agency before then, but they gave us so many more resources than them.
Right.
And so I am specialized in missing kids, unusual homicides, including killings and whatever else. But I did. I haven't done it for the past couple of weeks. Well, I'm here now, and whatever protection for the FBI, it would not be good for me to run out and say, "Oh, Letitia told me this." That's not how it works. If this can help us find Gannon, we can. Okay.
Not like I just need protection for
Well, you can get that, but we have to know first.
So how am I supposed to get help talking to someone first before we talk to you? Because I'm willing to do that.
So here's your deal. If you need help and you want to go through the court process, that's fine. And then you work through the court process. But it becomes the whole focus of this, Letitia. Right now, you're the only one. You're the last adult with him. You're the last adult we know about with him. You have not anything else to lead us. We have been trying to work with Val to say, what does she say in that?
Yeah.
You know, and the planning and
Yeah.
whatever else.
I was mad at him about all that. But a lot of it was he said what it should have. And if I could reach out to someone to be like terrified of myself, it would have been. Also, what I can help with is I'm just saying.
Well, Letitia, you've got to get them here to work with. If you want to go through the court process, like I said on here, the last question, if you want to spend any time, you are more than welcome to stop and say.
But it says you can have one present to talk to you.
Yep. And that will kick in the court process, and then we're done. Which is if that's what you want. Okay, but the whole, if you need protection and that sort of thing, I can't get you there without you giving me something. So I listened to all the calls, and I've seen the crime scene reports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bedroom was not Gannon slinging his blood on the wall.
Well, that's totally like not even to do with anything.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so like sad about bedrooms and all this things, because I understand expert. I know that, but I'm telling you that I'm gonna need like protection. That's it. It's not me. I'm not the person.
So, but if you're not the person, the charges won't be different. Okay, if you allowed someone else to come in and to Gannon that we know happened, you're just as guilty.
I didn't allow anyone, and I don't know of anything like you're talking about to be happening to Gannon. I do know that there's something I can tell you that can help you. Me help everyone, but help.
Well, so let me tell you where I am. Like I said, I've been 23 years with the FBI. For the last 20, I've been working with violent crimes, and I've worked cases, and
Okay.
it kind of messed me up a bit, to be honest.
Right.
Seeing what I've seen, and I worked 20 years of bank robberies. So, I always thought that you were going to have, I'm the FBI, I'm the good guy, bad people go rob banks, and that's not how it is. I've had to help arrest other FBI agents, police officers, people from the church, force officers. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. And on the other side, some of the bank robbers, one of them came for serving a 10-year sentence, and we had it off just fine, even though, we were on opposite sides. The thing that I have seen throughout is when something very bad happens, people think they can't recover. And I do not think you are a bad person.
I'm not.
That's weird. No, I don't. I've seen bad
and I know
people.
you told people that to get them to help you.
No,
but
I'm
not.
I would not have this approach with you if I thought you were a bad person. I think something bad happened, and I think that what I've seen a lot, it's whether it's you think that you can get out if you do this or this. That's where you are now. I think that one of these things can save you. You're not going to be able.
What do you mean? What were you talking about?
There was nobody else. We've looked at this. We've looked at the motions. We've looked at the detectors.
The alarms are already covered up.
The alarms were already covered up. Okay. But
Sir,
We-
I'm telling you, what you have is not you. I know you say you wouldn't sit here and say that wasn't whatever. I'm telling you, it is true. I would not, did not. And you guys having my phone, I would have thought that you would have had some maps looked into. Now, I would have thought that somebody talked to Albert and you would have listened to him or whatever. It could have been some help and indication. I really did. I couldn't come at you and just tell you if you say there's somebody not involved. I could walk you through it and prove it to you, and you guys have already had this predetermination. I don't mean you. I have the first time I spoke to you. You guys have already had this predetermination that's what's going to happen. It's already in your mindset.
because we have no other evidence pointing us other. So if there was a shred of evidence, Letitia, that pointed us to some other person, we would be, as soon as Quincy Brown came out of your mouth, it didn't take long.
So 100% New Mexico right
Yes,
now.
ma'am. Mhm. Because we did get our legal, we have what's called a legal attaché.
Okay. Where that alone, and I get that you're saying you have someone who died and knows that, that's where in my heart that I can't trust to get help. That very week.
You're saying Quincy Brown's
No,
not in Mexico?
that's not what I'm saying. But you would have said another word, like something in that would have gave that off. Like, you wouldn't have said he's just in Mexico and didn't do anything. You would have said, oh, he come back here for a reason. You wouldn't have said he'd known some other things too. Or maybe you have and you just can't tell them. And that's okay. But
We don't, in a case like this, so tips will come in,
Mhm.
You know, the public will call in. And then, of course, you and Al are primary interest because you're the parents of the missing kid. And most, 90% of the time, when a kid goes missing, it has to do with one of the parents.
Mhm.
But yeah, we work on probability.
Okay.
So, and especially too, then, you're there, you say he was neighbor's house.
Okay.
That's the very first thing. And then there's no thought that somebody took him.
You
So
said there's no thought,
there's no thought from law enforcement.
but you
when
don't
you- when you-
understand what happened leading up to the day. Nothing to do with Gannon, nothing to do with me, okay, in terms of me and Gannon. I love him with all my heart. And so you can sit there and say 90% just this.
I'm not saying you don't love him.
I love him.
I'm saying that even I have had times when my son rolled the basketball underneath that I wanted to turn around and do something, and then I would have regretted it later.
But what you're saying to me is, what you think is that I hurt Gannon. That's
And
what
I don't
you
think it was intentional.
Okay, but I didn't hurt Gannon. Okay, and I didn't either intentional or not intentional hurt Gannon. I did not. It's just not. Okay, and I had this conversation with you just to see if I could get help from you.
Which you can, but how can you expect me to help if you're not going to tell me what happened?
Because
You can't go just. I mean, you can unlock the resources of the FBI right now. I've told you that. But then you say that you're not willing to do it, whether you don't trust me or you think that there's these.
But you already told me, wasn't it based on the alarm?
That's from what we can see. Yes,
Okay.
movement in the basement,
Right.
movement there.
But you've already told me that based on that, okay? But what you're not realizing is there's 2 sensors on that home. Okay, two easily being manipulated, easily. Okay, and if you even knew anything about prior, you would be thinking a lot differently. But see, that's why I can't talk to you about this, because you already have predetermined what you think.
It doesn't matter what I predetermined.
But you said intentionally, unintentionally, and that's not the case.
I'm not saying I'm right 100% of the time. It doesn't. You need to just disregard whatever I think, or really whatever anybody else thinks. If you have something that will help us find him, really, the hell with me and everybody else and what we think. You should just cast that aside. All I can follow is the facts of the cases they're told to me. And so for me to go somewhere else besides the fact, I have to then go back to the facts to check it. So when I say something
I'll
like,
to you in private, but you can't tell Albert about anything that led up to it or anyone else.
Albert will
But
not
I
know.
will understand that, but I need your help, and I need to know that you tell me there's resources, you tell me whatever. I know you're saying you got whatever, this, that, but I really am going to need help. A lot. Where do you? Don't base it on some alarm report, because they can easily manipulate it.
Well, we're not just.
Easily whatever. I know I'm saying no one else was there.
So
when you say that, don't base it on that, please. Because that was not even remotely. Was not even.
Mr. Grusin?
Mr. Grusin, I just remind you that you're still under oath.
At the beginning of that portion of the interview, Mr. Grusing, you go through a description. If you allowed somebody else to come into the house and do bad things to Gannon, then you're just as guilty. Why going down that path and explaining that to her?
Well, it had to do with numerous stories that she had told us and out over the phone. And just whatever complicity she was going to make with me, I was wanting to move more directly towards her involvement. So just saying that if she was going to Anderson, like the last one that she introduced was a pregnant lady and it didn't really have any legs to stand on, we weren't I her to go down that path again.
So was that you trying to talk about her actions as opposed to pointing it out to different people?
Yes.
Okay. What about the discussion you had where you're talking about the bad guys dynamic and that whole thing, arresting bank robbers? What was that purpose of that?
To tell Letitia basically he was a good person and that good people can do bad things.
In that of the interview, she says she couldn't just come at you and tell you what had happened. What was your take from that particular point of the interview?
Well, I don't know if this is the same thing you're talking about, but she told me that keys or some type of keys she was trying to give us, but that she couldn't tell us directly what happened. And to me, that meant that she had been giving hints along during the phone calls through Al, because she had already told me that she knew that I and others were listening.
That's exactly what I was talking about, where she's telling you basically that I've been trying to give hints throughout this whole thing. Were there, in fact, some hints in her various statements?
Absolutely.
Can you give us an example of that, please?
She mentioned that Gannon was in Colorado, and either the phone call on February 19th or 21st, I think it was the 19th. And then she told all that he's not in the U.S. And we later learned that it's close to being true. As we've spoken of numerous times, the injuries, and she was even describing time periods that we were interested in, like the night before the to Costco and what had happened in between those two trips, and then when she would come home, what happened after she arrived back at the house. Yeah, so when you compile them all together, she was describing a lot of what had happened, separate through the investigation being done by El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
And you talk about that it was almost true that Gannon wasn't in the United States. Are you referring to where Gannon was later found on the essentially banks of a river that flows into the Gulf of Mexico?
Yes.
Okay, down in Florida. Why did you tell her that you don't think it was intentional? What, in the way you're implying it in that statement is you don't think what she did to Gannon was intentional. Why'd you say that?
Well, in her first statement that I was present for with Al on the 13th of February, she said that Gannon's first injury in her timeline was that he cut his foot on day. And then she went on to other things that had happened. And in my experience with domestic violence, I had seen that incident might precede something intentional. And I was giving her the opportunity to say that if she wanted to.
Was he essentially you building it out for her to feel better about telling you what actually happened again?
Yes, and still just trying to find any factual information from her on injuries to Gannon when they might have occurred, and it's much easier to talk about an accident than something else.
Okay. The next section that I want to talk about is right after this. Do you remember her talking about she reached out to people to go places?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and play that. It's at timestamps 1:46:45 through 1:48:30. So from directly from here to 1:48:30.
So you care about Gannon.
I care about it. I have reached out every day offering for people to go in these certain places to get even insight to see. I every day ask, hey, can you go do this? Can someone meet with you?
So you've wanted to go look for him?
Right. Like I reached out and I asked Albert, I said, hey, can you tell you about this and let's go to this location to look. I've asked all these.
What location do you think he's at now?
No, I'm just saying like
No,
in
but I'm
general.
asking you.
In
Right?
general.
Where do you think he is right now?
I don't know exactly. I don't know.
Where do you know him to lie?
I am 99% confident Gannon is alive.
Okay. Letitia, where do you know him to be?
One her, but I'm in a room and you've already talking about all this and it's me against everybody else.
So here's the deal. Once this thing goes through the courts, you talk about that. You're the only one to be with him. You think you're going to be able to tell a story.
Story?
It might be a true story.
God, sir.
But
Story?
listen, I've listened to a lot of your stories and I don't know what else to tell them.
Yeah, it's because I was mad at him and nothing. I already knew.
But I've seen what you told the news, or I've listened to what you told El Paso about the sex assault that happened in the house.
I already knew that you guys were listening to him.
Yeah.
So I said that because I was angry.
But what I think I can offer you today is some help.
Okay.
So in the beginning of that portion, Mr. Grusing, she's talking about she's been trying to reach out to get people to go places. Do you know of any effort she made to give information, factual information that could be acted on?
I don't.
So in this in this interview, do you also go through a portion where you're describing that you're looking at her stories and they're just not making sense?
Correct.
I'm going to jump to 1 hour, 51 minutes and 40 seconds and play 1 hour through 1 hour, 56:24.
And so I'm looking at your story, the ones that you've told, the ones that you've said in the media, hitting your head. When you hit your head, you didn't see what happened. And then when someone else Gannon, or when he's riding a bike and his head and stuff like that.
No, I didn't. I just told you I was saying that to Albert because I was upset he wasn't listening to me, that I did not hurt Gannon.
I don't think you did hurt Gannon at all. No, I'm not saying you did, or he hurt himself. Something bad happened in his ring. Have you said that you helped clean it off the wall? We know that.
What you're talking about is completely irrelevant. About
Well, then,
being mad, whatever.
Tell me about if it's irrelevant, Letitia. Help me, because there's a big blood pool in the corner in the wall.
Because if I tell you anything about any of that, all you're going to say to me is, "Hey,
if you didn't do it, no, I will be your advocate." Because why do we know each other?
no,
Why would I care? If you didn't do it And it helps me find Gannon?
I didn't do it.
Okay, well then help me find out who did it.
Who did what?
Gannon in his
Done
room.
what to Gannon in his room?
There's blood in the corner.
Okay.
That's Gannon's blood.
Okay. So you're this is where I have a hard time knowing whether I trust you or not, right? You're saying there's a pool of blood. Albert said saucer size. Like, I'm sure you had him say all this. I'm sure you were there. Whatever. Okay. In his room, think about what'd you say? Then, if that's or whatever your expert advice or whatever, then where do you think that I had any involvement in it? And where did he go? That's where it has to click at some point. That
And that's, listen to you do that to Al, to where you're making him guess what happened.
I don't want him to guess.
No, you're asking me to guess.
No, I was asking a question, sir. I wasn't trying. I was just saying in general, asking a question. I want help with people understanding. I tried to give any insight, help, clue, anything, but I can't because they know my daughter, everyone, my family, my mom, everyone. And you can think that.
But right now, Letitia, I mean, you can go down that road, but it's not going to save you in court because you're the last adult with him.
So,
and nobody else, just let me try to protect you. I'm not trying to hurt you here. This is actually protecting you. If you don't tell us where to investigate, nobody's going to investigate for you. You're the last adult with him. You told a lot of lies about all these injuries.
Not to you. I didn't tell lies to or to any police officer.
Did this assault happen in the house?
I didn't tell any lies to you or a police officer.
We don't have anybody to chase, though. We don't chase you. Do you understand?
But if you chase me, okay, you do this to me, people are protected because you guys aren't going to protect everybody. People are protected.
We can protect people. We can protect you, family, if this is involved. Now, I've worked South American death groups. I've worked gangsters. I've worked organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff rings true with what happened here. I mean, how is a very old gang going to come into a house in Colorado Springs?
Who said it? Oh, why does it have to be in the house? See,
that's where he last was. Oh. Are you going to make me guess where he was then?
No, I'm telling you. Gonna listen to me. You already just said that his last was in the house.
You're going back to what I think. You should.
I do care what you think. You want to know why? Because I care about how people think of me because I am not that kind of person. That's why.
And if you can point me to a different person, then I can help you.
I gave him.
So it stopped at 156.26. When the discussion about the riding the bike and ground came up, she stopped you and said, basically she gives a description of she was just Al. Do you remember that portion?
Yes.
Was that her basically admitting that what she had told in that particular story, that Quincy Brown, that whole thing was not true? What about the portion of the discussion where you point out that, are you trying to make Al guess? Or are you trying to make me guess? What was your intent of making that distinction, trying to get to?
Well, I asked her a question about the blood in the bedroom, trying to get her to explain that. And instead, she posed the question to me that if she where was Gannon. It's an open-ended question that only she knew. And as I told Letitia, I had seen her do this to Al. I'd heard her do it to Al while we were in the room multiple times. When it's a direct question, we need an answer. Or I needed one for the blood. Instead, she's asking me where Gannon is, and she knows that I don't know the answer.
Did it appear from your perspective that was intentionally trying to not give you information as to what happened in the room or to Gannon?
Yes.
Did you confront her with web searches done on her phone?
Yes.
I'm going to jump to that portion of the interview, and this is 1 hour, 56 minutes and 52 seconds to 2 hours and 10 seconds.
You know, in here, I even have your phone, the stuff that you've entered and deleted, like blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not rolling.
Do what? I didn't look this up.
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
Spurting from arterial bleed.
No.
Somebody did from your phone. I don't like stepson.
No.
I don't like my stepson. Should I yours? Cheating. Stalk Instagram. I'll stalk cheating in Colorado Springs. I'll stalk cheating. How to get blood out of sheep. Mm-hmm.
Well, the blood out of the sheep, because we always have, always nosebleed. If I ever looked the blood out of the sheep, it was nosebleed.
And
I
something.
didn't ever look up anything about an artery or something unless it went from something else.
It's on your phone.
And I never looked up anything about my stepson unless someone else.
The reason I brought up gangs is you looked up, I want immunity because it was gang related. And this sounds like husband, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids.
The new husband is just because Albert already knew that the lady Debbie Sherrill who had to find a new husband after 35 or something. He picked it on.
And like a lot of these can have nothing to do with this.
It doesn't.
I get it. Can I spray paint wood?
Well, we always were doing.
Yeah. All the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
Oh, that bothered me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame.
Oh yeah, I wanted them to be mine. Like
what about it?
Need to be their job.
Hit and run. You do a lot on Letitia, traffic accident, hit and run.
Mm-hmm.
No. What was that?
What date was it?
I don't know these. I was downloading stuff as I was coming on the plane.
Yeah.
My husband wants a divorce. My husband wants a baby, but I want an abortion. One day, some people will wish they treated me, which I get that. Parent people, not one. Close to suicidal person might say. I mean, these make me very. I read them because I can see you're doing all the work at home by yourself.
We wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to totally have the kids as my children. That's the point you're not getting. Like, I want those kids to be saying to me that I'm their mom.
Yeah.
Like, I am the person who does it, cares for them, loves them, everything. So use that.
What do you do if you suspect a person swallowed poison? Do they actually swallow poison?
Poison? I don't know. I always click things in them.
Did somebody swallow it?
No one swallowed anything.
You will never forgive me and treat me like a princess. You'll never know when it's too late.
Oh yeah, I mean, I always search for things in Albert.
So in that particular portion, you mentioned the immunity. Was there a particular phone calls during the consensual recorded phone calls process where she was also saying the same Al in those phone calls?
Yes, there was one of the earlier phone calls I was involved in.
Did you ask her to describe what injuries Gannon a little bit later after this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump to timestamp 2 hours and 50 seconds. And play through 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 55 seconds.
If you're not willing to with who to again, can you at least tell me what injuries you suffered? As far as the cut foot, was that a legit?
Yeah.
And where did that happen?
So he was outside in the garage, and when he was outside in the garage, he was running to go help me take the trash. Take the trash out, come back and help me get the car, and then he said, I left the blood there. Like, I left it. Like, because Albert said that fine wood or African wood, whatever kind of wood it was.
What What did the piece of wood look like? Okay. And still in the garage?
I had to drive all the time. So like I always had to go over the pieces of wood.
Right. But
Right.
you didn't take that out of the garage?
It's too big. You couldn't fit it in anything. You couldn't have fit the pieces. The logs that were in the garage, you could not fit. I left. Okay, so there was the piece of board that I threw in our truck. And then there was the long boards that were sitting there. So the board that was about like this size and the board that was the long boards that were sitting here. I left the long boards because that was supposed to be the fancy wood and I didn't want to trying to get blood off of it. The other piece of wood was the wood that I'm in the back of our.
What was that one?
There was a bunch of pieces that were laying around that was running through there. It was like little pieces, a piece about this size, maybe. But that
you threw it in the back of the truck? That bigger?
You said bigger, like it wasn't that big.
Okay.
Yeah. People. Like I knew it was not the wood that he went out over. So from Sunday, he did hurt his first Sunday.
And how badly was it bleeding?
It wasn't say Sunday, Saturday. I'm sorry. From Saturday, Albert had left like to drive to the airport. It wasn't even gone long.
Mm-hmm.
He had just left to drive to the airport.
Okay. Did it require a Band-Aid? Or?
You know, whenever he always does something, he tries to be like, he's not like laying over. He's like, oh, I need a Band-Aid. Gannon would literally toilet paper in the middle of his toe, and it would have blood or whatever, and just run everywhere and whatever.
Yeah. So what do you do on this occasion?
We literally took the towel, that's why I just told you about the toe, and put it in between.
So it was in between the toes where the injury?
No, it was like right here.
Okay.
We had a rat. I don't remember if we had a Band-Aid, to be honest. This is what. And
So that doesn't sound like a big injury.
well, it wasn't. I mean, there was no big injury. I left wood because I said I'm not going to clean fine African wood.
What did it look like on the wood? Drops, streaks?
What I did originally was I was trying to take water, but then I realized if I put cleaner, then that wouldn't do anything but cause wood to damage. Because Albert always wanted to build things with wood at least.
Sorry.
And if I use those pieces of wood and all that stuff.
Did you ever use that shack to clean up anything out there?
No, I never used that. The shop vac was never, I couldn't even like move anything with the shop. Anything that would have been used with the shop vac would have been Albert, other than the times that which would have been weeks ago. And we did spring cleaning around the house, in the corners. And that would have been the shop vac. I never, there was nothing I ever did vacuumed up something with a shop vac.
All right,
Like,
that helps me. I'm
you
just
know,
asking.
like any of that.
Right.
There was none of that ever happened.
So the burns on the arms weren't that the cut on the toe or the bottom of the foot wasn't that.
So
bad.
we still were able to go hiking. He was able to still go
Right.
hiking. It was bleeding on the board.
But
we
not
never
after
did.
that, not in the house, that sort of thing.
Well, he had the piece of paper and went down to his room.
Yeah.
Like wrapped around his foot. So, I mean, if anything, there was like the letters. No.
What about into the head that you talked to Al about?
So Albert was like trying to get me to say whatever, because I'm sure you guys are having to do that. I knew that he didn't do. So Albert was trying to get me to say that. Like I talked to him about, or whatever. So I threw off some stories to Albert because he was making me so upset. Just everyone not understanding that intervention. There's someone intervening in it. And that's where people didn't understand and want things. So I just started rambling stuff to Albert. And I even said, you guys, hey, I know. And it was just to be whatever.
But do you know what that sounds like, though, to a dad whose kid? And then you say, and a previous head wound happened to where it was blood running down his face and that sort of thing. And it, had to bandage it up. And
Well, I don't remember saying about bandaging up.
I think you said Quincy Brown bandaged up.
Oh, because he was making me mad about it. Yeah. I was about to say, I don't remember me saying I did that.
So he did something. We know.
Head.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And that is blood there. And so if you choose not to tell us where Gannon is because you're too nervous or whatever else, we would like to know where that was on him. So if we find him on our own, if you've given me this to go find you, that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where was that wound?
Gannon is alive.
He's alive, fine, but where was that wound? Was it for his head?
I don't know anything about a neck or head.
Well, you had to clean up the wall. You went ahead.
That was that is not even from what you're talking about there had nothing to anything from Saturday, Sunday, whatever. That had nothing to do with any of it.
How could it not?
It did
There
not.
was a lot of blood.
It,
I'm going to have to explain that.
sir, it not.
Well, just tell me how.
It did not. I promise
But
you.
you're not going to tell me how. So where we can help you with it?
You're not going to.
How could I not help you? How are you going to get up, Letitia, on the stand after telling all these stories, which we're going to ask you about, and then say, I can explain all that, and it's some part I never told law enforcement to go chase? If Gannon is alive, we have an 11-year-old kid somewhere being held against its will, and you're not, you might as well have done the job. That's why I'm saying.
Let me hold you again. I'll right there.
That's fine.
Hey,
So I've paused it at 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 55 seconds. What did she write down in your notebook?
I just remembered the first part, that the head wound was on Saturday.
You remember it saying and had nothing to do with this?
Words to that effect. Yes.
Your take on that, that instead of saying it on the camera, she wanted to write it down in your notebook.
Well, it's by now, whether it's the argument that she didn't want to talk about the burns, and even calling Gannon in as absent. You know, I was to put the opportunity to talk, and then she would not talk, so I would move on. And we're to the blood and what happened in the room. I think it was too difficult for her to say it out loud with the head wound.
When she's going over the wound to the head and actually says she just started throwing out stories because it's making me mad. You remember
Yes,
that portion? What were your thoughts on that particular part of the interview?
Well, that was consistent with what she was telling Al on the phone calls. And Al would continue to put her like, we need to find Gannon. She would say, what about our relationship? So she would move from finding out what happened to Gannon to her feelings. And that's what she was doing here again.
Is this also an example of her blaming others for her behavior? Did you ask her about blood being found of her Volkswagen Tiguan?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we're going to play that portion next. And Judge, this is watching the time. Is there a time they shoot for a break?
3:10,
Okay,
something like that.
I'll just watch the clock on that.
All right.
This next section picks up from here and goes to 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 57 seconds.
About the blood on the back of the Tiguan.
go on.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know, when we opened the car up. In the car, we were sitting there. There's nothing to do with this.
There's too much to be.
No, no. No, sir. Like, absolutely not true. That was where we were sitting on the back of the car when we were unloading the stuff, sitting in the back of the car. There is no sir. Mm-mm.
There's plenty in the garage, so.
But there was nothing in the garage. There was plenty of times that everybody worked in the garage. Nothing to do with.
Not everybody. Gannon's in the garage and bleeding all over the place.
There's a third thing about bleeding all over the place in the garage that had to do with anything. I'm telling you, what you're asking me is completely, totally different than anything has to do.
Do you know what you're telling me the truth? Again, please don't care what I think. Tell you the truth right now. That Saturday had nothing to do with him dissing and being gone for over a month. Do you know what that looks like to you?
If I am in the middle of the situation and I'm getting out.
But you're not willing to tell me how to help you. So now you're saying that Gannon had a really bad head wound on Saturday.
No, I didn't say that. What I said.
The head thing was Saturday and amount of blood there?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what you're talking about completely different than what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but this doesn't look any better because now you haven't told Al that he has a head wound. You haven't called the hospital.
Well, I don't like that. That was
Well,
not what
then
it
you
was
have
like.
to tell me. I mean, you don't have to do anything, but
It's not what it was like, sir. Not had nothing to do with me. It's not like that. Okay.
So in that portion where you're asking about the blood on the Tiguan, had you been made aware of when she showed up to the County Sheriff's Office for an interview and the condition of her car?
Yes,
What information did you know about that?
but the car had been washed.
Did you ask her if someone else injured Gannon during this
Yes.
interview? Okay. We're going to jump to that portion. It picks up here and goes through in 20 minutes and 06 seconds.
injure him on Saturday. That's an easy question. You don't even have to tell me a name. Did someone?
I was doing friends because I didn't have friends. Okay. So I wanted some friends. After I ever tell you about any of these apps we had to go on. See, that's where this is going to be whatever, because you're not going to take my version and my side of it.
But Letitia, let me stop. You help us. I will take whatever version you tell me, and I will actually prove it. That's all I do. Is I don't chase. I am wrong most of the time.
Do you have a way to pull up apps? Do you have a way to pull up the stuff on apps? Do you have that?
We can do that while you're here. Yes.
Well, I know. I'm saying you said you have this.
Yes, we have ways to pull up apps.
Okay. Do you have ways to pull up apps?
Technical people. I'm not a person, but we have plenty of tech people that are super smart to do it. If you tell me what to do, we can do that while we're talking. Take a break, you can go to the restroom, whatever else. We can solve it right now.
How come I just can't talk to you without a bunch of people?
Then we can talk right now.
Yeah, but there's.
Yeah. What do you want me? You tell me what you want to do, and I will have.
I want to talk to you about leading up to anything. I want to talk to you because I want you to find Gannon, and I believe in art. You will help me.
I will help you.
Not try to say, oh, you're telling a story and throw me. Okay.
So is he alive?
Let me finish this and I can
Sorry.
answer your question. I understand what you're saying about federal versus local, whatever. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to want to talk to you about, I don't want, like I said before, to get me. If I fight with 100% truth to help you.
That'll work. This is the first time we're talking for a reason. You haven't feds yet.
Right. So if I can, I'm wanting here with all these people watching, I want you to listen to exactly what happened and go from there. Okay.
Okay.
And that's not, I know you're trained to do this, interrogate people, and all this. I want nothing more than for Gannon to be okay. I want. I promise you. That's all I want. That's it. And I will take whatever help you want me to go do, even if it means take myself in the middle of somewhere where someone wants me to go to get him. Make sure it's okay. We do it. Because I love Gannon. Family. And I love the ground that everybody walks on. Albert, Harley, Lena, Gannon. That is my family.
So,
I know in the end, you got whatever by this and forensics and whatever. I'm not arguing any of that. Very smart to know that you're smart and not stupid. I need the help, the resources, not be attached anymore. To know that something on the stupid app was a silly mistake. Okay?
so you brought someone in.
So I'm not
I know, I get it. So I'm representing law enforcement from Colorado. Okay. And if you tell me something, even though, we started a recording now, and if you say we won't talk unless we turn off that can happen, pull in all those resources.
No, I want you to pull in resources. I'm not denying you to say pull in the resources. I'm looking at you from mother to a father. I have been scared because I don't know what's going to happen. Not because I did something. I wouldn't have told you that there was people, random people intervention or all these things if there was. Okay, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. Could have easily just been like, hey, if there was truly what I had thought about, I don't think you intentionally done it. There was an accident. Common sense well enough to know. Pick up the phone and say it. I'm not stupid. Okay, might be freaking out because I don't know how to get this, but I'm not stupid. Okay, and that's looking you dead in the eye to tell you did not hurt Gannon at all. Okay, where are you? So if you're willing to give me the opportunity to talk to you, I don't want to watch by people. I don't want to be whatever.
This is a separate recorder. This is mine.
Okay. And so does the Myrtle Beach House.
Yeah, they do.
Right. Right. But I need the help.
You get the help. All we're focusing on is what.
Okay. And that's what I want. You look at me like I'm just a bad person who doesn't want to find their child. And it came, and I get it. Their job is what they're probably getting to do, right? So they have to do their job.
Mhm.
I get that part. You can ask me about any of these, whatever. I'm sure it was something I saw somewhere, and I don't never look at anything about some stepchild. I've looked, I haven't got help, and how I wanted help, and how I wanted to be the person that they always were. Why I didn't even want them to go home. I didn't even want them to have to go to their mother at all. At all. I had to see the pain and agony out of work. So I'm going to take my character based upon
No, I'm not.
whatever.
This is part. Listen, when a kid's missing, we don't look at
Right.
the person. We look at the entire neighborhood through people. Closets.
Right.
We go. Everybody's lives is
Right.
turned up.
And I'll tell you right now, if any of this is since then, of course I've looked at what people said. If people said something about the FBI, I Googled
But
FBI.
again, you worry too much about, well, if you will get us there, we can protect you.
So then I talk to you. And I don't talk to Myrtle Beach Police Department and all these other people. I talk to you and I explain to you. Okay? Because you already saying you are charging me with something.
It's already been
Okay,
charged.
that's what I'm saying. You're already saying that. Okay? So how do I know that when I get you this here information?
But that's what this recording does, because I've already told you. We will do this. Well, we used to record things, but we do. And the people sitting in there is the district attorney and some of the El Paso people. Myrtle Beach has nothing to do this. They helped us find you.
Right.
So they have to be involved in this.
I understand it. I've nothing to do with Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach is in on it.
Okay, well,
If someone else took in,
because
we
everyone
can
else
find.
here, I don't like that. I want to be able to have an emotional conversation.
Let's do it now.
I can't.
I mean, we can't go anywhere. Where do you want to go?
People are sitting here.
Nobody's sitting there.
Okay, someone's watching from there.
They are in the other room. It's the
Okay.
district. You want me to tell them they can't watch?
No, I talked to someone in a raw, real conversation that you truly, in my heart, the situation. What I want.
That's what this is.
No, it's not that.
But how can I make?
The attorney from Colorado?
Yes.
Yeah, see? Come on.
I can ask them.
No, it's not about leaving. It's about I'm asking for going through all, this, whatever, sitting here wasting our time, or I'm asking. I'm taking your word that you're going to help me. And you're going to provide the resources from wherever you said.
Before I do that,
So, in this portion of the interview, starts out with you asking her about did somebody else injure Gannon, and then she went on the discussion about. Do you remember that portion?
Yes.
And you asked her to give the name of the app, and then it led to that long tangent. Was that another distraction attempt away from potentially the help?
Misdirection, yes.
Did you hear about trips that she may have made to lake areas, so northern El Paso County?
I did.
So we're going to watch that next, and this is short. It's from 2 minutes and 10 seconds through 2 hours, 21 minutes and 20 seconds.
let me ask you some questions, okay? Because this is our investigation.
Right.
You're taking all these trips up to Palmer Lake, multiple trips,
Mhm.
different cars,
Mhm.
renting a car.
Okay.
How are you not involved in that?
First off, I didn't ever get the drive to rental car anywhere because immediately once we, let me throw this now. Once we got the rental car or whatever, the National Guard was there, everybody in the house. We went and Albert's took the entire day going to Co and all these places. So I never drove the rental car anywhere. And it's already been corrected budget about the rental car seat. I had to get that corrected yesterday. I never even drove it anywhere because whatever you get from the rental car, it never was driven by me anywhere but literally up the street back. I didn't hardly drive it anywhere. So there was no driven to any kind of places at all. The only time I went anywhere in the rental car might have been maybe 40, 50 miles. I don't know, no more than 100 miles, counting there and back. And that was just driving it because I went back to get my car.
But
What information did you have about rental cars when you were asking that question?
We had Al returned back in town, which I believe was Tuesday. The Tiguan had been parked at the airport, and Letitia had rented a car for the day leading into the next day. But then she had actually came back and picked up the Tiguan Tuesday night. I don't remember or not if I allege she is correct here, and between 50 and 100 miles, I think it was about 70 miles, it came back that the rental car was driven. And like she said correctly, you could see the level of detail. I believe she's being honest, and probably was not driven up to Palmer Lake. So, yeah, it was factually correct what she was saying.
Were you aware of her having any other rental cars during the early days of this investigation?
Yes.
Like the Nissan Altima?
Yes, I believe her Tiguan was seized, and after that, she rented the Nissan.
A relative rented the Nissan. We've got that in evidence. That's
Okay.
from a different witness. But also, did you learn that she also had access to 2 different types of rental vans?
Yes, I learned that later.
Okay. Did you have a discussion about PetSmart/Petco that leads into a discussion about blood on the wall in her shoes and that kind of things. All right, we're going to jump to 2 hours, 24 minutes and 51 seconds and play through 2 hours and 28, 5 seconds.
Because everything that I've looked at in this case, when you see the blood spatter on the wall, you see a big pool on it.
Okay.
You see your shoes that we collected with Gannon's blood on the
Okay.
bottom of them.
Okay.
And then you point to Eduardo, who doesn't exist, or maybe he did exist, and we don't know his name.
Okay.
Then you point to Quincy Brown, and then you say Uncle Matt, these names and stuff, and it's like, I've seen it, and that was Harold. That was
But I'm not Harold.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying this is my experience.
Right. I got you.
I'm not saying you are, but it didn't go well for him because his attorney got up. He's one of the best attorneys in Colorado. He's $100,000 to him, and he started
paid $100,000. Okay.
dead wife's money. And Greg got up and said, Harold is not a man, but he is a liar.
Right.
And that's what I was worried about when I first got the case, because they asked me to come in and work that case because I had worked other cases like it. And Harold's just putting Harold confident. Please don't say this is you. I'm just saying this is my experience, because Harold told all these different stories. But when you start out with your defense attorney saying, my client is a liar, he's just making up crap. That's to the victim's family on how Tony died. That's to his friends at church. Them got up and testified. These are the different ways Tony died.
Again, it's not good.
But he might be. You don't know that if someone is willing, if this, whether it's related or not, the head thing, if someone's willing to hold a kid for 30 days, how are they not willing to kill?
Can I ask you something, or can I say something? Even if the scenario and me just going to go talk to the lady here and telling them, hey, this is what happened. This is who did it. I know that he was by someone. You know what the next question you're going to say to me? Who was this person? And all I'd say to you was, well, can you help me figure it out from that? Can you help me figure out from this what you would say to me? Oh, yeah, sure. Right? That's exactly what you would say to me. So finding unless I can take you directly in it, safe and sound, that is the only way that you're going to be like, oh, truth about something.
So this person is telling you that he's safe.
So that's the only thing. And ask y'all, or I say y'all again, I mean you're
I get it.
Okay, hey, so why is it never the word? Please, please, please. You're not understanding. Like I have begged that completely. Like day in and day out. Begged it. Begged it to let me.
I still understand.
So in this discussion where you're going to find information about how could there be blood in these places and on walls and Eduardo and Quincy and all that kind of thing, consistent approach from her in that she then doesn't want any answers.
Yes.
When either in the recorded phone calls with Mr. Stauch or this interview, or give you any explanation like, you know what, I just woke up, Gannon was hurt and I don't know what happened?
No.
She ever say that blacked out and Gannon was just gone and didn't know what happened?
Once what their head was hit and she was unconscious during part of this period, but not that she didn't know what happened.
Okay. Did she ever say she woke up in some other place and didn't?
No.
Some point, there's been a couple of references and he's wanting to go off camera, and she does it here again as well. Some point, does one of the DAs that was with you out in South Carolina actually come into the room and have a discussion with her about going off camera?
Yes,
Was that Martha McKinney?
yes,
Who was
was.
the other DA that was with you out in South Carolina? Do you remember?
I don't.
Was it the young lady sitting here with us, Angelina?
Hi.
She looked.
Yes, she does.
I'm going to jump to that section. So jumping to 2 hours, 34 minutes and 20 seconds through 2 hours, 44 minutes and 54 seconds. And before I jump, as I'm typing in that stamp to get to that exact point, is it shortly after this where you actually leave the room for a little while, have a discussion about this off-camera thing?
Yes,
And when you did that, was that leaving her in the room, in that same room by herself for some period of time?
correct.
Did she do anything inside the room during that time?
I recall.
Starts talking in Spanish or anything like that?
No.
Okay. We're at 2:34:20, and I'm going to play through 2:44:54.
It's about like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it is.
And Mr. Green, you can step down.
Thank you.
I think forward, how many more of these you have?
Well, the whole thing, like I've told you before, Judge, is
Well, let me rephrase let me give you some guidance. I think if it's going to be longer than about 10 minutes, Mr. Gruesome can step down.
what you're saying. Yeah. I can just notes of when they're going to be longer like that. And then this should get us to about 3:10, Judge. So
Okay.
maybe we can take them after this one.
I'm with the district attorney's office.
Just so you know, looked behind there. This place is under construction. There's no one back. I can walk you back there if you want to look.
I believe you. I'm just talking about all these people watching.
Yeah, and Martha's been watching
I have, yeah. Something you want to talk to me?
about production.
So I don't have any trust in anyone. Obviously, I know I've told him that I said things to Albert because I was or whatever. But how that I'm gonna get help, like, because I didn't hurt him at all. But I need the help to figure out how.
Let me read you what she wrote.
Okay.
Or I'll just show it to you.
And I was Saturday. I probably
I had thing was Saturday and had nothing to do with it. That's what's fine. So we do have your phone. And we have gone through like for keystrokes.
right.
So
Like it's when you download it.
the phone, beside the one that was in your van.
Hmm?
Did you have another phone?
Yeah. No, it's the same phone. The
It's the
same.
same
Yeah,
phone?
yeah. No, not the same phone. You have the phone. That was just the yeah.
But at this time, like
Yeah, I understand
disappeared.
that's the same. The 843 is the card number.
But you didn't have a second one that this app on.
No. I only have this phone.
So, and let me explain. My understanding, what Letitia's asking is, how does she know, since I've said, if there's a bad guy out there that did this to Gannon, that she can tell us where these guys are. And she's concerned for her safety, but the safety of her family.
Right.
And how can
He
she
asked me would I trade my life for, and I said yes, but I said it's also other people. Like, how do I know that someone else is not going to be? And how that you guys aren't just trying to be like whatever, like, walk you through anything or can help you with anything. I don't want to be just thrown somewhere, like being like, okay, well, you did, and I want to help you and work together. If you have kids or grandkids or whatever, I do. I don't want to sound like I'm cold-hearted, and I'm just tired of being like the person instead of being able to have someone actually have compassion to help.
Well, I was a little bit confused when I was watching it because John talked about how they're the FBI and they're the premier law enforcement agency that could protect you, could protect your entire. And they, again, as a lie, they
Okay.
I can't make you any promises,
Right.
because obviously there's a lot of information that you have that we don't.
Okay.
there aren't any promises. I can't come in here and promise you anything regarding the court case or the arrest warrant or your involvement. Okay. But I can tell you what the number one priority is, and it's to find Gannon. Right. And so if you were into some small law enforcement agency and they said, sure, we'll protect you, I mean, I can see how you would be suspicious of that.
Well, I didn't, you guys were the lead agency, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, they're the most elite agency there is.
Okay.
And so if there was a time for you to feel like that you could protect,
We can.
Because I know yours.
Yeah, there's a backup.
So if you want the recording turned off, you need to tell us really explicitly that that's your choice. The recording have been put into law that there's not a debate where he says you said one thing and you said I didn't. So it's to protect the person being interviewed.
Right.
But if it's something you...
It's not that I'm trying to, I just don't, it's just I wanted to have like a conversation with him, just him. Explain to him and read himself right in the next room. Yes, I really do. GPSs and all this, but you haven't found games. And I understand you're going to say, well, we have to go on. And I was trying to ever get to sit down with people to actually to say, okay, so please help me. Because then I feel like if I don't, if the guy would be like, hey, just give me an attorney and call it a day. So do you think I want to waste time if I got resources? When that's all I've asked for.
But the only people who can say them is I don't want you to think that this is being broadcast to the whole world. You know, there's another DA with me. They don't have that kind of person.
Right.
And they're the ones, what the reason that we do that also is I might miss something, and I probably do. Talk to them and say, whatever. And
right.
Also, it protects you because if I make a promise that I can't deliver on the FBI, then Martha gets to hear it. And then she would.
As soon as I give you information, what's going to happen? Someone's going to, you were involved with this. You were cheating. You were doing this. I'm just giving you scenarios.
But that's a lot better situation right
but
now.
what if I wasn't? That's my thing. And that's where the burden of proof, I can't depend on the burden of proof to be involved and just thinking that I'm just a bad person. I did not hurt Gannon. Okay.
There are any promises I can make you right now. I can tell you that we're looking, and it seemed to me from listening to it that you had information, but I can't make you any promises.
The thing is, if you're saying to me, I have information, you're going to come and say, I've given this information when I did nothing but attack.
But
that's what I'm saying.
You
See what I'm saying?
You can't armchair quarterback yourself, though. You know, you can't look into the future and say, well, I'm going to say this because you said that. If what Martha and I are true, and that our only thought is Gannon, we don't care who leads us there, we just need Gannon. Then you are protecting yourself by telling us this. If you never give us this information, then you don't protect yourself. And then we have one person to prosecute.
Well, and our focus is who took him and who hurt him. Not with when people came forward with information.
How do I know that? Because that's my biggest thing. I know you're saying that, but like whatever I can do to help, I can help you. But I'm saying, how do I know that if, let's just say, it's whatever, I tell you a specific person, okay? Let's just say that, okay? Then my thing is, well, your thing is going to be like, well, you held this information from me, and I'm having to utilize my resources, okay, and do all those things, not understanding that maybe sometimes there are people who are afraid of other things going on.
my work, there are people who report things later than some people do every day. And we focus on the violent crime. And we certainly try to focus on kids. I know that you want assurances and you want me to be able to say, you know, I will or won't do this. And I can't promise this because I'm in the dark. Right? It would be foolish for me to make you promises, but I have late report sex assault all the time. We have people come forward years later. Our interest is in the truth about the crime. This is really all conversation I have. And I know that you wanted a frank conversation with them where you could really tell them. So unless you need me, I'm definitely.
But you're still going.
Would you like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do I? Not that I want you to know
No.
anything. I'm able to like really talk to him. Know that I can. You're gonna help me.
I can bring you back there and you can see us turn it off. But the truth is, I could just end.
I know.
There's a point where no one can verify everything.
Well, plus, that's her life. She's the truth. It's like I to you when you listen to you. You kind of have to look at logic here.
Okay.
I don't think Martha would throw.
Oh, and I want you to have all the information.
Yeah. So are you okay with doing? We just won't be monitoring. To turn off.
He said I could just talk to him.
Okay. So we're off the recording, and that's your choice. That's what you want, right?
Yes.
And so he controls the turning it off from here, or are they?
Ask
Okay, I'll ask
find
you.
someone.
And so it's just gonna get turned off,
Okay.
And then once it's done, then I'll come back out and we'll
and it'll be a conversation between the two of you. It'll be like the way.
All right.
Anything else from me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get her.
No,
that.
it's fine.
So that portion, Judge, do you want to take the break now or go a little bit more?
Let's go a little bit longer.
Mr.
Okay. Yeah, longer.
Some point, did you have a discussion with the defendant during this interview where you're talking about ransom?
Yes.
Why was that part of the discussion?
She had brought that up, I think it was on February 15th, that Quincy Brown was demanding a ransom. Also, since we were talking about a group possibly having Ganna, I couldn't see another reason to have him. He would still be alive without them asking for something in demand.
But why bring it up in that particular interview? Are you confront her with that?
Just tactics a little bit and see if she will move somewhere else, really.
Okay. In that discussion, were you also talking to her about in ransom cases, kids don't actually turn out to be okay?
Yeah, and I had maybe I'd worked one ransom case, if that. We don't see that very often. Normally, our rule is that the 24-hour rule, the 48-hour rule. The further away from an abduction, the less likely the child to survive. And so now we were at over a month.
Does that same hold true for a missing kid? So the longer you get away from the point that a kid goes missing, the chances of survival go down as well?
Correct.
Did the defendant bring up who she describes as an FBI agent named Barbara?
Yes.
What was your take on that portion of the discussion?
I did not know a Barbara who was involved, and I asked the Colorado Springs office if there was a Barbara working in the case, and they said no as well.
Okay. The next section, Judge, that I want to get into is about a 10-minute video. Do you want me to go into that, play it? And
Let's do that. And
Okay.
have a break.
so preceding that, she's already sort of challenged you on, because you asked the question in a particular way, that shows trust you as it relates to Quincy being in Mexico. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
Does she bring that up again about that's why I have a trust?
Yes.
All right. And so I'm going to jump to 2 hours and 49 minutes and 1 second. So this is a section, Judge. And then if we're going to go, maybe he can come down.
That's fine. You can step down. Thank you, sir.
And then it happened fifth, I think. So what happened was I got all the messages when I logged back in. I got all the messages that were like just sitting there, and so I took that message and I heard it to a student people and I sent it to Albert, and I said, hey, can you get someone to like look into this? Because people, you know, sending random messages. It could be creepers, you know, like people, whatever, being stupid, or it could be just in general, you know, the actual person. And so no one ever said anything to me about it. Then I get this. Okay, so
I mean, Letitia, their 11-year-old kid. Again, we have to go back there. 11-year-old kid, injuries. Now we know that. Taken. And you don't come to law enforcement for
this was a law enforcement person.
Barbara. I mean, how did you get in from, except through your friend? You had Amber from the FBI.
Right, but she said that she worked with the FBI and she was going to send information. She said that she worked with Amber. I swear to you, if you call 80, you can get the number from her to find out what Barbara, who the Barbara lady was. And she was actually emailing her to me.
But if you told them back then and you trusted them with that information,
this is why
why are you not today?
Because no one has help. I tried since February 5th. The 5th. Today's March. That's why you see I had this problem with Russ. Because
I was there when you were talking. That was your chance.
And to Amber.
Yeah, that's a legit FBI.
So then, is that what happened when I was talking to Amber? I got a mess from the attorney who said not to talk to you guys because you guys, A, weren't the lead agency or something like that. And then B, not to say anything else unless he was present. That was when I was trying to talk to Amber.
But why wasn't that with Barbara then?
Because I gave it to my friend Amy, who had this relationship with Barbara, like trying to check on her.
See, and again, this sounds like a lot of your calls where you're pointing fingers in different directions, but never giving specifics.
Right. I gave
right now, I mean, somewhere, and you can get us there. And he proof of life or a picture again and or whatever else. It makes no sense for some man have an 11-year-old child.
It wasn't that. It was because we thought it was someone playing games. And if someone was playing games, that person would have been like a shepherd. That was the whole point. Not somebody had him and they were like, here, come get it. My point was that we thought it was someone, hey, here's someone playing games. Could you find out who the person is?
Yeah, but do you walks without? Those are distractions. Those take up time.
Yeah.
And Gannon's over here somewhere.
Yeah.
And you are misleading law enforcement.
No, I didn't mislead them.
No. Well, you're misleading anybody who would report to us.
I didn't mislead any of them. Who did I mislead?
What other story?
Tell it to Albert. It wasn't misleading.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't have said stuff like that if I was trying to mislead. I was just bringing Albert because he was making me upset. That's all.
The dad of a kid who's not finding his son.
Because I know the stepmother who helped him get the kids, and he wouldn't have them without me. So yes. He wouldn't have.
You do that to Al, though.
No, I already had apologized to him and said that was awful for saying that to him because I had already done that.
But before we kick this thing in motion about all this protection and whatever, I said one thing though today. How in the world would he suffer a head wound on Saturday that required?
I didn't say it was a head wound. I said the head thing you're talking about when I said something to Albert. Head thing you're talking about.
The bike accident thing?
You already trying bike?
But head thing talking to Albert.
I'll just wait until you are ready to talk to me with beginning to the end, because I already said that that is completely irrelevant to anything that what you're talking about. Completely irrelevant. I told Albert something else that was just story, to be whatever to him, and it was wrong, and I already had apologized.
So
to
the
Albert.
things that you told Albert were that he was peeling these ferns. Was that happening?
I'm not going to answer any more questions. You can ask me about things telling Albert out of being upset. There was nothing happening that I was telling Albert. Nothing. Literally just saying that to Albert because I'm upset for him not standing by me and was figuring this out. It had nothing to do with me purposely do whatever or tell you guys anything. That was not what it was.
But,
it was me being upset with Albert.
Let me go back to a kid missing is about bad as it gets.
Oh yeah.
I had a bank robbery 15 years ago. Took her in the bank. She got the money. She came back to the car and she drove away. She was prosecuted for that. There were guys with guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what did she could have gone into the bank, said lock those doors. Guys are making me do this.
Right.
Yeah. Now we have 30-some days again and missing. Talk to a law enforcement officer to say where he is and say.
I never tried to talk to you guys. I never did not. No one ever, when I felt like I was getting like bam, farted. I said that's, no one ever reached out to me from FBI to like have a conversation like you did. No one ever did.
And you don't feel from El Paso, why?
Because I don't feel comfortable talking to them. I just feel like from fleet B to fleet B, they have this approach, and you made even a comment about the lake and about this.
Right.
That's taking this person to my life, and that bothers me because I don't want.
We're actually the ones.
Approach.
We're the ones that told them that. That's statistically true.
What? You statistically told me.
From Gannon's age,
Mm-hmm.
and from the amount of time he's been missing, he is most likely dead.
But what I'm saying is, as a parent, is that maybe because you're like used to saying that or something, but is that something like as a parent you would hear?
No. Would you rather hear a lie? Would you rather hear statistically he's probably alive? When it's about, I would say it's less than a 1% chance at this point.
But why?
Him being 11. They would have asked for him.
But why?
Kidnappings don't happen without a demand, without it being a parental deal.
Parental deal or a demand.
Yeah.
So you're saying that nothing else, nobody intervenes ever. Ever.
I've seen time, and again, I've worked violent crime in Denver for 20 years, a little over. And I saw one kid wander down the street, he had autism, and this was at Brighton, and a guy came in the house, he had him for a day. The guy was mentally disabled well, so we had two things happening at once. We had a kid, autism, who just started wandering, and then we had a developmentally adult who was just playing video games with him for 24 hours. But the public said there. And I remember knocking on the door, he had made little blankets for the kid in there, playing video games, and nothing bad had happened.
Right.
That's the exception. I've been to where kids have been dismembered, 10-year-olds. And from the blood, and that's what I'm thinking happened. I'm not saying he just got dismembered, but there's enough blood in there that we survived.
How could you like possibly say that when you clearly began walking, leaving on Monday?
Yeah.
See, that's
Leaving on Monday at 10, yes, correct.
right. Walking, okay?
But he comes back, correct.
Okay, walking.
Not walking well.
Totally fine. Don't encourage with like this, yeah.
But he's back at 2.
Get you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that's what I say, then this whole thing is like even pointless to even say anything, because if you're back at 2. But then you're also saying something about going legs and here and there and whatever, and it's like none of it is even making sense. It doesn't even make sense.
So
For
between
me,
the two Petco trips is when he disappeared.
it doesn't make sense to me
Letitia.
to say.
So let me. I've been working 14 years with a guy named Scott Kent, our informant that went around killing the girls. Remember me telling you about him before?
Oh yeah.
When we first started. Best day, because I have dads out there who still wonder if their daughters. Scott taught me one thing very well. There's only 2 people that worry when someone either goes missing. Because one of these girls, Jennifer, like I said, we're pretty sure she's dead because it's been 14 years since anybody's seen her. But Scott told me, John, only 2 people can testify to what happened between me and Jennifer. And that's me, Edward. And you're never going to find her. He did.
Wow.
I've got to answer to his dad, to my wife. And I'll probably be answering to his dad after I'm there, because Dad has my cell phone. Dad called her birthday. One day she Mother's Day.
How was he able to say that to you?
Because he's like, weather window. So when take a guess, and that's a guess that he came back home. That's because people on the video said he probably did, or I don't have the information. And I hear you do that to Al by saying, "Oh, so that's what you think." Well, none of us know. You know.
I have
That's 3 hour. Wait a minute. Did I stop it a minute too early? I think I did. My eyes are getting bad. We got one more minute.
All right.
to be that way. If I don't be that way, then no one's going to help me. I didn't hurt Gannon. I didn't.
That's fine, but right now
I didn't. But I didn't hurt Gannon.
But how are you pass these charges without help? How does that work?
Without help?
Without you, like, again, it'd be like someone told you the story about somebody knew where Jennifer was, and they're not telling me or Bob Markham that
say I knew where Gannon was.
you said you know he's okay.
No, I said as a parent, I'm never going to sit here and say to you and say he's not okay. That's not what I'm, because I didn't do this. So why would I look at you and say that? Like, I'm dead looking at you in the eye saying, I would never as a parent say that. No way could I ever say that. I love Gannon. I did not hurt Gannon.
All right, now it's really 3 hours, 1 minute and 35 seconds.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we won't take our afternoon break until 2:35. If I can have, hold on just a minute. Okay, we're good. We're going to take our afternoon break. If I can have everyone back in the jury room and say 2:35, I'm at that point. Again, discuss case with anyone else. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. The record should reflect the jury has a court. With that, court will be in recess until 3:35.
You okay? Let me know if y'all can hear me. Check 1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me? Okay. So we are now up to how many stories in this case? How many people? How many stories? Too many, if you ask me. I'm just gonna see how bad I look on this camera. I look too bad. This case is really had a hold on me. I'm not gonna lie. 11-year-old kid, damn sure did not deserve everything that happened to him. Um, want to talk a few minutes about what you had said the words, and I said the words that killer told that agent, which is very, very true. In a situation where there's a killer or someone who has someone held against their will or an abuser, it's almost the same thing as in a domestic violence situation. There's not going to be but two people who really, really know the whole in and out of it, and that's the person who is the dominant, I guess you could say, over the weak person, and the person that they have held or things like that. And those are very true words. What he said. Uh, I have a scar right here. I don't know if you can really see it too much. I have a scar over here. Those are from wire snips where I was held down and my face was cut. Um, for almost 3 years, off and on, it went on. I'd get away from him, and he'd make my life hell. So I finally broke away completely. It was the year before last. I finally broke away completely. I think it was a year before last, 2 years. I think it was like 2 years ago, actually. Uh, but he got involved with another chick, and he didn't do to her the stuff he did to me, and things he's done to many other women that just haven't come forward yet. But whatever he did to her, uh, they got him arrested finally. He's been locked up it's been since 21, I believe. It's 23, it's been since 21. So, he's waiting trial. Uh, Now, I did reach out to the prosecuting attorney, and I was like, look, first time in my life I've been able to sleep good in 3 years is whenever y'all got him locked up. And she assured me that he wasn't ever going to get out. So, I don't know. But that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. My family did have to contact and get the police looking for me because I was one day away from being a missing person. I mean, they had everything ready. The cops come to the house the night before it was, as a matter of fact, 2021. And I think no, 2020 or 21. It don't really matter or whatever. But the cops did not do a walkthrough. They they didn't do a walkthrough. So they just took him at his word and went on about their business. Well, the next day, I'm gonna try. Uh, my evidence. I mean, they had my evidence and stuff. They did 2 rape kits on me through that whole time, and I mean, I'm more than welcome to go. It just depends on if my health holds up I do have a lot of health problems. I have lymphoma. I have a lot of health problems, but every now and then I'll get real down and stuff and be going offline for a couple of days or whatever. That's because I have to rest. He's a son of a bitch. He yeah, he is. But he wasn't the only man that done that kind of crap to me. I mean, I've dealt with domestic violence for a long, long time. But the shit he put me through, yeah. No, no one should. And this case is, all these cases get to me because for so long I felt guilty because I survived, and that really bothered me quite a bit that I survived. And do y'all remember what time he said to come back in? I'll check it here in a moment, but I'm not sharing that screen. So anyway, so I mean, I finally decided that somebody had to be a voice. 3 years I've went through the hell I went through with him, away from him, and then I had to be boots on the ground to help assist in finding my daughter's best friend, who went missing 4 weeks later. She's an angel. So if y'all ever hear me talk about Maddie Bear, that's why. I had to, the day after Maddie was found, my brother was found in his home. That was January 23rd, 2021. January 24th, my brother was found dead in his home. And I almost didn't think I'd ever come back. I didn't, but in March 2021, me and my husband, my ex-husband now, we had got back together. And that was a whole whirlwind because he wasn't ready to change. He had been out of the feds for almost a year, and he wasn't ready to change, though. So all my stability was gone, everything else. Well, long story short, my cousin that Johnny Cash used to belong to, he had come to Morehouse, Missouri, where I was at, and I was living in a storage unit. I've been there for about 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks, living in a storage unit. Never had I ever been that low before. Never. And I mean, I'm a recovering addict, and I've seen stuff and I've lived stuff, but I never felt that low before in my life. And my cousin, he took me to his home in East Prairie, and I was in school. I almost gave up on school. I finished working on my school and stuff. I got quite a bit of money back a couple of years ago at the end of the year, like, a stipend if you go to school or whatever. And I bought my home, which is a camper. I live in a camper. I live in a campground. Yeah, I got a story that would make Jesus weep, probably. But I don't tell it for that. I tell my story and the things I've been through to let people know there's hope out there. To not give up, even if you have a loved one that's lost. Because there still can be hope. If you've been a victim of everything, don't be a victim to it no more. The only thing I'm a victim of now is my own craziness, addiction to YouTube and the internet. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's rough when you're a recovering addict, and when you go through all kinds of stuff, it's really hard. Really, really hard. I have a daughter, a 22-year-old daughter who's married. She exited me out of her life quite a long time, but I know now why. And I've had stepkids. I've had plenty of stepkids. I'm down to four, 3, 4, 6, down to 4 kids now. One's only mine. One's my natural. I lost 2 of them last year. One suicide. Dalton was lost to suicide, and then Melissa was lost to cancer. But you know, I've always been told growing up that your test turns into testimony. Your mess turns into a message. Right now, I got a little bit of a mess in my room because I've got clothes over here, and when I get sick or whatever, I do my work in my room. So I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that. And see, last year when I lost Melissa and then I lost Dalton, I had left my ex-husband before I lost Melissa. I didn't even know she was sick. And it took my daughter, my actual daughter, putting her foot down with me and saying, I'm not doing it. You're not, me and her, we got back talking, so she's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not coming to get you. You're stuck there. So I'm just like, whatever. So, but it took me getting to that point again, almost to that point. And almost losing my kid completely again. See that, I can do something. It was a few months ago. I was laying here, done with a stream, and went to bed. Because not every night I stay up, working and stuff like that. Because some nights I cannot sleep. It's it's rough. But I was laying here and I got a message on my phone. It was from my daughter, and she said, I just want to tell you I'm proud of you and you look good. I cried, I'm not going to lie, and I messaged her back and I said, Lexi, because all I want to do is make my loved ones something that should have been a disaster, which I'm talking about my life, turn into a miracle. So that's why I got to working with some other creators, and they gave me my confidence, helped my confidence up. And I took and I got my channel going back. I think I had like 20 something people on it when I started back, and last time I checked I was at 220, I think. But I don't do it for the clicks, I don't do it for the likes, I don't do it for none of that. I do it for awareness. I have Facebook, I have access to every social media site there is. 2016 I started doing social media management. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to Switch real quick. But that way, whenever, yeah, there it goes. When they come back in, no. But that's why I started back, because I want to be the voice that gets the justice done for the people. And I still got loved ones that have passed away. There's questions that need to be answered. I've studied, I've read, never went to law enforcement academy. But there's a reason for that, because I don't like police, to be honest. I don't. They have left such a bitter taste in my mouth from seeing how they take advantage of having a badge and a gun and a vehicle even. They do. Some of them aren't that bad. Some of them actually do their job the way it's supposed to be done. But then there's so many that don't and are still in office. Missouri, the state of Missouri, is a corrupt state. And I've been dealing with this crap for a long time with Missouri. I love the doc. I love Eric, a sweetheart. If it was not for him, I know none of us would have the documents that we need, and I'm so appreciative of him. I'll be glad when I filed my tax. I'll be glad when I get him. I'm gonna buy him a cup of coffee. I'll probably buy him bunch of coffee. And I was sitting here and I was just like bored anyway, so I got to way back. I was like, well, shoot, let me try to stream. And it's all no. But that's my story. That's my background. There will be times I'll get ape shit mad stuff. I do not like trade pimps at all. I'm not monetized or anything. I have, ways for people to donate or whatever they want to. The only reason I say that is because, it costs for internet and stuff like that, but I'm good. For real. I mean, I can side with it. My cousin Kathy, she's on hospice. Not doing well at all, and she hasn't been doing well for a couple of months. She got put on hospice January 18th.
Yes. Is there anything we need to pick up?
Let's back over here, okay? Sign out. We'll talk later.
All right. Let's go ahead and do this.
Might as well bring come in.
Fine. What's going on?
Yeah.
I said that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Allen,
Yes,
if
sir.
we could stop
Until
the 5 second.
if you want in quarter till if you want, just
No, it's just going to be a longer instruction for them because since it's the weekend, I want to go over exhibit.
Okay.
It's been a constant problem. Latest is it just happened to be
that transporting.
that's what
It's because it undid itself one time. Thought about, oh, I
all right, jury, please.
So it's just an extra step. Because transporting. Yeah. If I forget it.
Yeah. Thank you. You may all be seated. Call 20 CR 1358 People versus Letitia Stauch. Return to the courtroom. Mr. Allen?
thank you, Aaron. We'll just need the screens turned back. Thank you, Judge. In that last section, where the other DA was in the room, appears that the defendant used mission again. Was that about this whole thing?
Yes, and she was very effective doing it when we brought the attorney in, and she couldn't promise Letitia something. That was yet just another all we had to overcome to get to the questions we were asking.
That if she would put conditions out there that maybe even be difficult for you to meet.
Yeah, the witness protection, the DEA involving other federal agencies, she organized way about how I might not be able to do the things she's asking and the questions.
When the direction would be employed by the defendant, was it around specific points of interest in the story of what happened?
Yes.
Says what?
We're trying to figure out who had him. That was where we were focused. And then instead of giving a name, she would give, but looking back at the phone calls, she same thing with Al. It was status first before she would give location of Gannon.
Do you remember her making a statement right after where she says, I'm not?
Yes.
And you then go through an description extradition to Colorado and being in jail.
Yes.
We're going to play that next, and that starts at 3 minutes 41 seconds through 3 hours 3 minutes and 33. We'll just play it directly from here, actually, because it's only 6 seconds later.
Most of these happen. They happen in the house with parents who love it.
What you're saying, okay? I understand. I appreciate what you're saying. Appreciate all the work and time and dedication you put into all of these things to have this. But I am not one.
But if you're not the one, so do you know what happens from here?
What?
You go to a local holding cell, 24 hours up to 2 weeks until you get extradited back to Colorado. And unless you tell me that somebody else did this, you're the only one that did it. But I'm telling you,
But I didn't.
But that's what would be horrible. Is if someone did, and you're going to escape because you're scared.
Not letting someone.
What could you possibly be scared at this point?
I'm not letting. Do you think I would someone skate if I could take you directly to the person right now? Why do you think I would need resources?
You don't need resource right now. What you need is that if someone took my son, and I know who it is, go to jail for the rest of my life because someone took my son.
No, absolutely not.
No, and would I be afraid of my own protection going to jail when I could be free and that person could go to jail?
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
there. Even if I walked you to the person, she just sit there and said, promises.
You can't make promises. What's better? Go to jail for the rest of your life and hope that or to point us to a person. If I'm in your position, then it makes no sense.
Right.
What should you be scared of at this point? Reprisals?
No, the fact that you don't have, clearly you would have found some of this already if you had resources. That's what scares me.
So stopping it at 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 seconds. After you explained the extradition, you said you're the only one that did. Does she then use misdirection again to get you off topic and move you away from trying to pressure?
Yes.
What about what's your impression of that very end, where what scares me from her perspective is you would have found this if you had the resources? What's your take on that?
It's what I explained to her earlier. She's expecting me to know answers to the questions she has the answers to.
Also in a challenging whether you even have the ability as an FBI agency to provide her the things that she's putting down as conditions.
Yes.
Did you confront her by saying after this her story makes no sense?
I did.
So I'm going to junction. It's 3 hours, 3 minutes and 49 seconds, and it goes through 3 hours, 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
It makes no sense. And what it goes back to now is that you can't take responsibility for it.
I didn't do anything.
You can't insert someone unless you're going to tell me who it is.
Okay. I didn't.
Then you would tell me who it is. Did he do it to me? I'm not asking you. I'm asking you to do it to the head, whatever that was, that caused that pool of blood bottom of his bed. No, but the blood seeped in. The blood through the sheet into the mattress.
I have no idea.
You cleaned it up off the wall.
So wait. I did not take any sheets and clean them.
Told out on the phone, you cleaned up the wall.
Now paused at 3 hours and 59 seconds. Start to confront her about the did she use misdirection there again? Directing away from
Yes.
what was you?
none of my questioning was effective. So we would go to one of the significant just was it to change course yet again.
Again, was this happening as you're trying to dive into when she diverts over to the sheet?
Yes.
Where someone's come in and said something getting up to leave.
So let's talk to me often, and the police department had decided to get us a separate room. Special Agent Cohen, Letitia off camera in this other room.
And so is there a period of time where the room is just empty while you're with the defendant? And we're going to talk about, so I'm going to play it until we'll back and then we'll pause it again.
Okay. Hey, Letitia, your request, you leave that recorder in there, we're going to a room that doesn't record. Are you sure you don't need to go to the restroom?
Okay.
You take your water with you just in case. Okay. Great.
So before we get into this that you had with the defendant, that little portion where she was inside the room by just herself, did you see anything in there that caused you to her?
No.
Did she appear to be acting normal to you?
Yes.
This off-camera discussion, let's talk about first the was undertaken here. Who was involved with it, first of all?
Well, Myrtle Beach arranged for us to have another room to talk with her in. Chairs were already put out. It was a bigger room, this one, from what I recall. And myself, I introduced Special Agent Cohen, introduced himself, and we just in the middle of the room to see what she had to say.
And when you say Special Agent Cohen, you're talking about the scene here?
That guy, yes.
That guy? Should we come back from now on? How long would you say that portion of your interaction with?
I recall about 30 or 40 minutes, maybe.
Was she talking to you in that room much the same way we've been recorded interview?
Yes.
Can you give the jury some idea as to what that means?
It was more of needing protection. Primary things I remember from was that this person she was saying was responsible for Gannon might have been associated with an app, and that Al had wanted Letitia to participate in a threesome, and this person that was part of the threesome, the person responsible for Gannon's disappearance.
When you say these, is she pointing her finger away from herself, saying these people, or is she saying these people that are inside of herself.
No, it's another person, and why I say people is when she's it sounded like a group. So I'm leaving that just kind of open. She was referring to this threesome as like it was another male who was involved. That if we find who's in this app, we might find a person who Gannon.
And when you're saying app, you're talking about, was she saying an app on a phone?
That's correct.
Okay. And when we're talking about these other people, just to be very clear, she's not saying that these other personalities that are inside of her own self,
No.
other persons or personalities.
No.
Okay. In that portion of your interview, this off camera, a different way in which Gannon suffered a head injury.
Yes.
What was that?
I believe it was the pushing the beds together.
Okay. Did she describe that Saturday night? So that would be January 25th.
Yes.
Do you remember her giving you any description as to looking at it and assessing that injury?
Yes. Letitia said she looked at the injury and said it wasn't very egregious.
Did she specifically that it didn't even need stitches?
Yes.
Did she give a description as to where on the head that injury occurred?
I don't recall at this point.
Okay. If you saw your report, would that remembering?
Yes.
Okay, hold on just a second. 11219. No, I'm not seeing it in this particular report, so let me come back to that in just a moment. Did she talk to you about taking a SIM card from her phone?
Yes.
What did she say about that?
Either sorry.
Okay, well, that one is definitely in this report that I've got in my hand right now. Before I get to that, though, were you aware from the investigation that her cell was seized by El Paso County Sheriff's Office on January 9th when she tried to leave the sheriff's office during her interview?
Yes.
Do you or are you aware of cell phones having SIM cards that are in them?
Correct.
And so her indication that she still had us from that phone, would that be factually possible?
It should not be.
Okay. I'm going to show you, this is 7218. I'm sorry, 7219. SIM card sections here. This is pagination 11-7220, page 3 or 4. Look at that when you're done.
Okay.
Did that refresh your memory?
Yes.
What did she say about the SIM card?
She said that it was the SIM card but she had placed it in her friend's phone.
Okay. Did she describe getting a bunch of messages then at that time?
Yes.
Was this another distraction in your mind?
It's nothing that we thought was possible. I don't even know if the investigation was able to verify it or not, because that happened after my involvement.
Okay. And then back to that head injury issue we were talking about earlier, where I asked if it would refresh your memory to report. I just didn't pick up this one page. It's 117218. May I approach and have him review that page? Or
Okay, go ahead.
this last paragraph on this page.
Thanks. Okay,
Did that
it did.
where did she that head injury that was caused by pushing the beds together occurring on Gannon's head?
She said it was a gash in his temple.
Did she also give a full assessment of other injuries during this portion?
No.
Okay. Some discussion here about Angel, and
Yes.
what do you remember her saying?
We discussed Angel later, back on camera, but I remember Angel, as a result of this app threesome that happened, is Angel was a female who may have been involved in Gannon's.
And this Angel, potentially the one that the defendant was suggesting might have been for the threesome issue?
Correct.
Shortly after that portion of the discussion, do you come back on camera with the defendant?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to retrieve a report from you. And jump, the next time that you're in the room was 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 25 seconds. Is this immediately after you get out of that separate room that's not recorded, do you then discuss Angel on camera?
Yes.
Is that what we're about to watch here?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to play 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 25 seconds through 3 hours, 25 minutes, and 41 seconds. Judge, this is a 12-minute gap of time. So, Mr. Gruesing, just sit down. Okay.
With the district attorney, for this protection thing, that we have to know the last name, all that stuff, how you met her. I mean, I know you say that app and whatever, but how else do we identify Angel?
I was just reach out, maybe.
Can you describe her? What does she look like?
And she actually got hurt.
Yeah.
She
Girl, I met her. When did she cross? Were you saying September? And then who all did she say? She said. Uh-huh. Okay.
We had a bunch of quite a few people that
So the messages that are through your phone, that, threats or whatever they come from her?
so we can get on YouTube.
What is her Snapchat name?
I would need to have my phone.
But do you remember the name in it? Was it a numbers?
That's why I asked for help, but he's not going to help.
Who took you back that we have to?
If I'm not going to get any help, then I would have to get help. I trusted you.
We went in there,
I know.
and I don't know if it's just the way you're used to communicating
Right.
over a long period of time, but
Yeah.
when you're asked a question, you don't really answer. You go in those circles.
I've
So
always
like,
done that.
similar to doozy Gannon, and then you say, well, draw, you know.
Yeah.
But we're just used to asking you a question and then you help.
I don't even
You always feel like the last, what,
I mean, um, you know, no, I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about. I really,
it doesn't look like that. Here's what it's going to look like that you utilize them again. And nothing on that angel thing we can, or we can't eliminate that. It's all like the Black and Paul parking lot. We have cameras for that whole place, and we don't use it
okay,
anyway.
can you like do that so that I can choose what direction?
But where it is, where did you?
Direction, because I'm not really from Colorado. Did you talk about what direction? Like where it is yet, and maybe you could put like, I don't know. There's lots of places you could put a camera off. I don't know, consider. That's offering help.
Yeah, it's oh, but Gannon goes with this car. I mean, this is the person that you trust,
I do.
right?
That's the thing. What am I supposed to
Angel.
do?
So then why would you go home and say here that he's now eating?
I never said he was here now.
Well, but he was at the house. Yeah, but do you see where I'm going with that? Why don't you make up a story of on that he was going to a friend's house?
Because if her nephew was a friend, I mean, I don't understand how that's a problem.
Angel's nephew was a friend. Oh, that's right. That they had played together. Did she live in your area? Where did she?
Again, I'm like constantly, like stuff will come through, people sending stuff, saying stuff.
But the people, are they different people, Angel? I mean, are they acting on her behalf? Because that doesn't sound like a friend. I mean,
Obviously, if they're not helping with your child, they're not friends. But how do you think that makes them trusting people? You see, doesn't make them like trusting people no more.
do you know who tells the story from here on out? Your story?
I ask for help.
You know who tells the story? How this works out from here.
You to kind of open.
There is an angel. Well, just like we found Clown right away, we can find angel. If there's not an angel, that's the last story you're going to tell law enforcement about Gannon.
Sure.
Well, but I mean, we'll get for the threes thing, whatever else, we'll go to this angel. And if it's like what I think Quincy Brown, then angels is just
You're
going
not
to.
trying to.
I would.
Okay. I tried to get your help. When I gave you the wrong information, I tried to get you
But I help you. How is that?
open.
But
Did just like they did.
I'm happy to chase down anything you
You
tell Letitia. And I said, I think that Al left you alone because he's gone to Alaska and then he's on this trip and you're in Gannon and something bad happens. It's your fault or Gannon's. It doesn't really matter. And you panic and you ask, was I the person talking for Al? Yes, I was. But I think this you came, got his head injury, And because you asked,
I would have, like,
no, if your son, you would have called.
I did call.
You should never call the police.
Yes, I did. The police.
Petco, right when he was taken.
No, that's not taken. He was supposed to be playing. Like, as soon as he wasn't home, I did.
But you were supposed to meet her, what, the next morning?
No, I called immediately at 6 o'clock at the time he was supposed to be home. I called the police.
What did you tell me?
You already know what I told them.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Why doesn't? Yeah.
Because I told you, I have talked to a lot of people that are sitting in the same chair you are right now. And I've seen them, and I'm sorry if it offends you if I say story, but that's the way you're coping with this right now.
Coping?
Yes, you'll cope.
Okay. Sure.
You did. Saying you did. I'm just saying that you're unwilling to come to the truth because it's going to be painful.
I gave truth. I didn't hurt him. That's the truth.
So the last truth, tell me,
You're
just
not
to
going
make
to say
sure.
anything else.
Just
I'm not
sorry.
going to say anything else because you.
I will help you if you will tell me one concrete way to find Gannon.
Okay.
Letitia,
You're not trying to.
you know,
You're not trying to.
you can be a hero here. Yeah,
I'm far from a hero
but you can be
because I'm
one.
a parent.
You're a
who
parent
did
who
not
was-
hurt a child.
You're a parent who was left behind to deal with a stepson, stepkid.
It's not a problem.
No, when something like this happens in the
That's
house,
a problem to take care of our children.
then what happens?
That's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. Like for you to someone, it's hurtful. That was hurtful. It's not a problem to take care of children.
It's not a problem to take care of children, but bad things happen all the time.
No.
Yeah.
No. John, no.
Do you want me to walk to where all the blood was, or do you know it already?
No.
You know,
I know for a fact that I did.
how is the bottom of your shoe?
And as long as I can live with that and know that God did not hurt Gannon, I'm okay with that.
Well, you can convince yourself of that all day.
Sir, that's not helping me.
Is there a way to help you? Even if
Okay.
you're trying to convince yourself it didn't happen,
Okay.
is there for you to say through a third party?
Whatever you say. I don't know what else, but I did not hurt him. Did not.
Then you won't tell me who did.
Would not.
All that blood would not be in the house if Ames
I
met
would.
him in Petco.
You're like that's far beyond what you're talking about.
What is far beyond?
There's like many a times we've had blood in our house.
Do you remember the spray that was on the wall?
I mean, goodness gracious.
I've seen the markers from the spray. The spray all the way up here. Well, you had to clean it up.
Beer?
No, it's not a
Oh. Whatever.
it's a spray.
I don't know what you're talking about. Spray. I don't know what that means.
It's called spray.
I don't know anything about that.
So it comes from aspirated. You're going to hear all this anyway, so I'll tell you. It comes from aspirated blood. You know what that means? It means that he didn't accidentally do it.
Okay. Whatever.
That we're waiting on for the warrants because somebody broke Gannon in the bed.
No. If someone struck Gannon in the bed,
That's
thank
what
God we were all drugged then. If that's what you're saying happened. God, we were all drugged.
Well, then can you tell me how that blood got on the wall?
Sir.
That's just blood on the wall.
Okay, well, I guess sir, if you think you have all the answers, then
You're making yes.
I'm not.
You've got the answers.
I'm not making
Letitia.
you this. I'm going to be respectful to you because
Letitia,
you offered to help me. You didn't help me, so I'm just going to sit here now.
Mr. Grusin. So we've got it paused at 3 hours, 25 minutes and 41 seconds. Mr. Grusing, this continuation of the discussion about Angel, any indication in the investigation that somebody by the name of Angel was in his disappearance?
No,
At the, you asked her for her being the defendant for a description of Angel. What did she say?
she said that Angel looks a lot like herself.
Do you remember the defendant saying that she had no motive to do this?
Yes.
We're going to play that next. It's 3 hours, 26 minutes to 3 hours, 34 minutes. So about 8 minutes, Judge. I don't stay up for 8 minutes or not on the stand or not.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Where's it? It's up to you, Mr. Gruesing, if you want to stay there for the 8 minutes or.
I'll go.
He's got a step school, I think. I've got it at 3 hours, 26 minutes and 0 seconds. So having skipped roughly 19 seconds, we're going to play through 3 hours, 34 minutes.
If someone presents us with evidence, then we just follow the evidence.
Okay,
The last person was
Okay.
Gannon.
then I don't do bad things to people. I don't
I don't think you do bad things
Okay.
to people.
do bad things to anyone, and I didn't do that again.
I think something bad happened to Gannon, and I don't know of a way to get you to tell me about it. Tried through Al to get you to tell me about it. We've tried here.
Okay.
And I think you have a defense mechanism. And I think your defense mechanism was you need to go into another room. You tell us.
No, it's not. No defense mechanism. I trusted you to talk to you because I thought you would
If you
help.
trusted me to tell me, you would tell me where Gannon is right now.
I don't know.
Too. You know where it was, and it wasn't the pet
Okay.
code.
Okay.
But see, you can't make me get fair to me.
Why would I
Not
keep
fair to
talking? You're not going to help me.
You tell me how to help you.
I already did. I already did tell you. I told you.
Nobody holds a kid like that.
Okay, if that's what you think.
No, I'm just saying,
Okay.
it comes up in the morning, it goes down at night, every
Okay,
day. It
sir.
works hundreds of these
If
things.
that's what you think. Okay. Me talking to you is not going to do anything else because all you're going to do is go think that you're going to get me to say something that I did that I didn't do
That is not what I want.
because I do anything to Gannon. Why would I hurt our child? I had everything in the world. Why? I have no motive. None. Don't have the first motive. Everything I wanted in my life, I had it. Why? Doesn't make any
It doesn't make sense a lot of the time. What happens
sense. Sir, I don't even know what you're talking about. All I can tell you is I don't know. No reason to go on the record. I had a way better relationship with Gated Atlanta. Way better. So much alike. We always like the same thing. We always have problems with our stomach. We always do all these things.
Do you know there's a correlation sometimes between how much the phone won and how bad happened in the house? I'm telling you that.
I don't. Well, maybe bad things happen in your house.
They happen in the house a lot more than they
Okay.
do out in public.
Maybe bad things are out. But
Do you? We showed you pictures of what we saw on the wall and by the bed. When you say nothing bad happened, you can't get around. Yeah, we did not show Al that on purpose. He had to come get stuff out of the house, and he looked and saw the blood pool was about this big on the concrete. That is not from a little gash.
Right? And then what? And then you showed this to him, or how
No.
did it?
He had to come get stuff out of the house. I wasn't even there that day.
After you were able to stay in this house for a week,
I did not allow anybody to do anything.
someone did.
Right, my call.
So,
So what you're describing to
Okay,
him, even
what-
when you're saying it
what-
doesn't,
sir, I'm tell you now.
When you say that,
Why do I tell you now? People were inside of a home. It was not me. So maybe you can talk to whoever allowed people to live home. Okay, whatever you're saying, done extra or whatever. Maybe you talk to those people who were allowed to stay in a home during this supposedly. Okay, that's what I think. Maybe you can talk to people who were.
you're saying that the injury happened.
I'm not saying anything except I know you're telling me this stuff. And you're saying this about how bad you is. Maybe you can talk to the people that were allowed to stay in the home during this time. During this time that you have this supposed evidence, people that stay in the home and people that were allowed to walk and see it, supposedly. Okay?
So Gannon, all these wounds happened after he went.
I'm not saying anything than, sir, you are telling me. You just sit here on record and telling me Albert went inside somewhere that you were supposed to have as a supposed crime scene.
There for that. If you want to get an answer for you about who was with him.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying for you. You as a professional, you would have allowed that, supposedly?
He has to go get stuff.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure that's
as long as it's processed.
Okay. Process, sure. Okay. I'm sure that's how
not do that.
I'm sure that's how it works, and doesn't it sound a little bit weird to you?
If the scene has been processed, no, I had a girl that was burned alive in a house. The
thing was processed supposedly when people were still day 1, day 2, day 3, and the thing was processed day 4, day 5, day 6, and the thing was.
You're saying that people going in and out of the house, civilians processing the thing.
I'm asking you that because apparently you think was processed, and then you want me to talk to you when I know that how shady that whole situation is. You want me to answers for how shady that is. You need to tell me, and the thing that was processed, day 2, day 3, day 4, there was nobody going in and out. There was people.
Right.
Okay.
When they thought Gannon was still alive.
Okay. Living there. Okay. You're saying the thing was processed because not you, but people probably were there. It's all on camera. There was crime scene people while people were living there.
Of course, because they didn't know the severity of the scene. They just thought ran away, like you said.
Okay.
To go see a neighbor.
The point is, I'm supposed to put my trust and faith in any of the system like that. When that was going on, how?
So you faith in the system.
No.
Where you
no, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
If you would have told police the very first night that he forced everything would have been.
Just mercifully. Okay, I said exactly what I said back at 6 o'clock.
If you would have said other people had him and they shoved him, it would have been different. You controlled the way that law enforcement responded.
I did. So now it's my fault that they
had saying he's going walking
in there,
with a friend.
Had people in there. The crime. Now you have all this stuff after you let people live there, and now you want to look at me and say something, sir. Okay.
Okay. Well, who did?
Did not.
Who did?
Just know you. Yes, you do care.
No, I don't. Gannon, I don't care if you did it or not.
I didn't. Okay.
You're saying you did it, but that doesn't.
I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. I would not. No reason.
I'm not asking you a bigger reason.
For a child. No reason. No reason.
So we paused it at 3 or 4 minutes, Mr. Grusin. Mr. Grusin, at the beginning, made a statement about a defense mechanism going into the other room. What was the purpose of you saying that?
Defense mechanism, or Mr. I was trying to, hone in on what happened that day, and neither I nor Special Agent Cohen story about Angel to be credible.
this tangent that we just witnessed happening, where trying to get who hurt Gannon, right? That challenge of that, and then she's talking about the scene instead. Your impression of that?
Yet another knock me off my line of questioning, another misdirection. As you can see, and I was telling her that the whole reason that law enforcement responded like the initial report, but as she continues to talk over me and saying that because of the way she created gang at a friend's house, now that is a problem. It's yet another big hurdle that I've got to overcome to get to what happened again.
Last clip that we played, where it's the discussion about Angel, in some respects, did she actually revert back to Gannon is with a friend and didn't come home?
Yes.
So reverting back to the very original story that she told the police on January 27th.
Right.
That statement that she makes in this particular portion, she likes Gannon way more than Lena. You remember that?
Yes.
Was with her earlier in the interview, recount any searches, I should say, to the defendant about involving stepdaughters or Lena specifically?
No.
In fact, you read to her some of the searches, one of them, my stepson.
Correct.
I don't like to get a divorce.
Yes.
Did you ask her after this question about Quincy, Eduardo, and the mountains?
I did.
What were you trying to get to there?
Well, you could see story. It didn't take her long to get off of Angel and then divert to other people being in the house. And I wanted to just address the others yet again. And again, where we are at this, we're still trying to find clues about where Gannon is. And I had already explained to her that I think the closest she came to describing was when she spoke about Quincy Brown. So I decided to go back there and give that a try.
What do you mean by that the closest she's describing Gannon's true injuries was when she was talking about Quincy Brown? Tell me what.
Well, I never saw the full autopsy of what happened again, and I only heard about it second. She was describing the head, the hands, the knees, and the blood pouring. That's the motive. She had come with us meaning investigative team, even including here.
That was the most as far as any potential that she was willing to tell the investigation.
Correct.
3 hours, 34 minutes, and 50 seconds. We're going to play a 5-minute clip. 3 hours, 39 minutes, and 50 seconds.
If you give me another name, I will chase that person. You tried Eduardo in the house, you tried from the mountains, now you've tried Angel.
I never say that about a mountain.
Yes, you did. You were supposed to ride in the mountains with Quincy Brown. But
I never told you that.
You said you knew I was in the room.
I didn't even know who you were.
FBI.
Never know who you were. I said I didn't ever say FBI either. I said
Law enforcement.
no. I said I know someone is listening.
That's gotta be.
No, it could be anybody.
That's
Exactly. There's no point of doing that. You're not going to help me.
I think you could control this story by concerned about what other people think.
I've been completely respectful to you. I've been respectful to you and kind to you. I did all these things because that's who I am. I was raised to be bad to people.
But I think bad things happen all the time.
Why bad things happen?
Because an 11-year-old boy is not home and he's not hanging out with somebody.
Okay, sir. Okay, I'm glad something so bad happens all the time. I'm sorry that you have to have this filled up of nothing, no compassion, and all that. I'm sorry for that. I really am. But I have no reason None to hurt anyone in my family. None.
Can you tell me why there's blood on the bottom of your shoe? The shoes they were covered in the garage.
Garage?
Or in the top of the washer or something.
Did you think I didn't walk around in shoes? If
With Gannon's blood on the bottom?
that got to do with anything?
It's
I've already get told. We were outside unloading stuff. Got to do with anything. We were outside unloading my car. I mean, come on. That doesn't mean somebody's as bad and has done something wrong. Yes, sir. No. Thing like that. To hurt Gannon, innocent being, helped me out more than any person in the household. More than Albert. More than anyone. Help me.
I'm not saying Gannon's a bad kid.
No, help me. You know how much you'd be helping me? With everything, pulling everybody else's slack. Who did it? Gannon.
And I think that's why this is so hard.
You're right. It's hard, you're right. It's hard because I didn't hurt you. It's not have him helping me. It's hard. Very hard. Knowing that right now, you know, Gannon knowing the situation, you know what Gannon would do? He would wait on me anything I would ask him just to make sure I was okay. Anything.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Oh, he would. Before even Albert would even do it. He would. If he was sitting here right now and needed anything, he'd ask him to do anything, he would do it. So there's no intention, motive, reasoning, nothing. Again, nothing. In any kind of way. None. Nada.
You did say on the phone calls there was no premeditation involved. You said
I was saying to Albert, like he was, if you're talking about when Albert was asking me that, I was simply saying, if you were trying to get him or whoever was trying to get him to walk me down some pathway of whatever it may be, whatever that may be, come on, sir, I didn't wake up and be like, oh man, that's not how it works in life. Bad people, whether you say do this or do that or do that or do this, they just do bad things.
that's very true.
Okay, well,
I told you good people things.
you're a good person
Yes.
and you do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you had any key, Gannon is, you would tell it to us if you were a good person. Would you not? And
So pausing it now at 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 50 seconds. At the very beginning of this, you said, if you give me another name, we'll check down. I have to go back and count the number of different versions of stories during the pendency of this investigation.
No,
Too many to count?
it's
Yeah.
quite a few.
Narrations of maybe like the Quincy Brand story has different branches of that story.
Correct.
The Eduardo story has different branches on that story.
Yes.
The Gann was playing with a friend and didn't come home. Are there different branches to that?
Yes.
And then we get the pregnant woman, money in her belly story, different story.
Right.
Why did you tell her you don't think you're a bad person? What was the purpose of that?
It's hard to get someone to talk about something bad if they think the person talking to them already thinks that.
Are you hoping that that would maybe loosen her up and she would give you some?
Well, and yeah, I think the intent for this, whatever the awful thing was that happened to Gavin.
That's what you were trying to get her to
Correct.
believe you were thinking?
Yes.
Okay. Were you actually thinking that?
Yeah, I didn't all this started as far as I was only taking my role in this investigation. I was not the case. My role was just to speak with Letitia, take in as many facts as I could for these interviews. And so I was taking in what she was saying. She was putting it back again to me with the foot injury on Saturday and now a head injury on Saturday. A progression of things happening. And I was just gathering from her what I can and passing it on to the investigative team.
When you said you obviously didn't have Gannon's body had not been recovered yet.
That's correct.
Hadn't heard anything about Pepsi and the number of injuries that he had suffered.
Yes.
I remember asking her right after this clip that we just saw about where did you learn?
Yes.
Why did you want to go down that path?
In my experience, especially if you have a close with someone who has disappeared, you are able to articulate the last time that you saw that person. And phone calls with Al and even with my aunt said what that very last sighting of him was.
Okay, and we're going to jump to that section now. 3 hours, 40 minutes, and 59 seconds. And we're going to play it through 3 hours, 45 minutes, and 5 seconds.
Yes.
Your argument isn't going to work.
Argument about what?
Your argument that somebody took him. You're not going to be able to story.
Okay.
If you help us today find out where Gannon is, if you could, because I have 100% confidence. Tell me exactly where you left Gannon.
Okay. Now you're accusing me.
Just telling you what,
Okay.
what our investigation.
I'm glad that you have researched that.
It will look much better to you.
I didn't do anything. I mean, we're better at. I didn't do
Are you
anything.
going to tell me right now that the last place you saw really him getting into an
Sir, I'm not going to say anything because you're not trying to help me.
finding Gannon would help you?
Oh, yeah, I know. Don't you think that?
Then tell me.
Don't think that? Don't you
I know it.
really don't think
So
that?
tell me where he is and let me help you.
I don't know where he is.
Where did you last see him?
I'm not, sir. You proved that you were not going to help me. Okay, you did. You proved you were not going to help me.
If you tell me where you last saw him, I'll help you. I promise you that, Letitia.
I don't get it. Then her Gannon. I don't know how to write that out, say it in 10 different languages.
So what do you want me to say? You didn't hurt Gannon? Did you kill Gannon?
No. No.
Did you put Gannon somewhere?
No.
You didn't put him in a dumpster.
Dumpster. Why is that?
Because we've been tracking your car. We've been tracking, even when your phone is off, it can be tracked.
Good, sir. I'm glad.
We've been going through dumpsters all through.
Sir, you can go through
Please,
whatever you want, sir.
that would save us
I didn't
hundreds
do
of days.
I
Tell me
didn't
if he's in a
do
dumpster.
anything.
That's fine. But will you tell me if dumpster?
If I didn't do anything to him, how am I answering that question for you?
Not tell me the last place you saw him. Okay. Because it's a memory you don't want to look at.
Memory?
Yes,
Really?
I would think it's a memory.
Okay.
And it's been missing now for how many days? You saw him, but you call the one agency that can find him.
Already said you already basically lost my whole.
It's not a true story. That's worse than Quincy
Okay.
Brown.
All right.
What about the pregnant lady with the mud
Okay.
stomach?
Okay.
Letitia, tell me the last saw him, and we can find Gannon. And that will help you so much. Yes, it will. What do you think is going to help you now? If I walk out of here and we haven't got a lead to find Gannon, all you've got is the stuff on the wall. You've got the blood. You've got blood all over the house. You've got blood on the bottom of your shoes. And you've got about 7 lies. If you help us find Gannon, that will help you tremendously. And yet you won't tell me. Why? Yes, I will.
So we've got it now paused at the end of that section, 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Why'd you throw out the dumpster?
There had been searches in dumpsters. And at that point, since we had no leads, I was hoping maybe at least I was being truthful there, saying narrow our world on what we're searching at this point, because we didn't have a lead on where Gannon was.
And you were just trying to get that from her at that particular point.
Yes.
Do you remember from that discussion into asking her about any mental health issues that she was dealing with?
Yes, I believe I asked her a second time after asking her initially.
Right. And so that's what we're going to get into, and that's at timestamp 3 hours, 50 minutes and 20 seconds. Lasts for almost 2 minutes. So it goes to 3 hours, 52 minutes and 18 seconds. So I'm starting in 3 hours, minutes, and 20 seconds.
The one, not the one.
You asked you ahead of time if you're having anxiety or depression or stuff like that.
Anxiety, depression, any of those things. Because to be honest with you, that's it.
So have you been? You said Gannon's been seeing counselors. Have you been seeing counselors?
Right, about teaching one time. Maybe she did it too because she was going to give the most support animal. Yeah, it was 2 times. And we talked about not wanting to be in teaching anymore and all that route. Stress on the job. That was what we talked about.
You have searched a little bit on the suicide stuff.
What sort of stuff?
Or was that you, or was that just random?
Who is that? I don't even like.
Have you ever thought about suicide?
Who?
You.
I'm not thinking about suicide.
What is that? What the person might say? That's fine.
Yeah, because I have someone in my family before that had said that to me, and I've looked up information.
You.
Wow.
Take that.
Have things in their family go on too, that you may look up and be like, oh, this is what we're doing with this. Mhm.
When you're asking her about any mental health issues, did she indicate only 2 times?
Yes.
And what was the reason that she was counselor?
Counseling on the base regarding her teaching, I believe.
Okay. When you left the room here, what were you doing?
I believe she asked if she could make a phone call, and plus I wanted to check with our team. I wanted to see, what was going on with them.
Okay. When you came in the room, did you start to ask her about the board that was found with blood on it?
Yes.
Okay, jump to that. So we're at 3:55 and 0 seconds. That period of time between, so when we stopped at 3:15 till when you're about to come back in the room at 3:55 and 0 seconds, was she just in the room by herself?
Yes.
Was she acting normal?
Yes.
Any concerning behavior from her?
No.
Okay, we're gonna start at 5 and go through 4 minutes and 11 seconds. So a little over 11 minutes.
Thank you.
At some point, we'll ask you how many steps it takes to get back and forth.
That's the right thing.
I just wanted to call them.
She did. They talked with Harley, they talked with Dee Dee, they talked with Laura. There were search warrants at Laura's house, Dee Dee's house, your van. I think, yeah, they got half of it.
Harley Beatty?
Yeah, 'cause that's something that I met you out of the car and you said you'd like Dee Dee to be the guardian in between times or whatever.
Okay. Why are you saying their house? I mean,
Because she stayed there.
I'm saying like they're not important.
No, neither are Dee Dee. Am I asking you about the wrong teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And whether you or not, it doesn't matter. All the reason is to come find what happened again. And if I can't get past, if I can't prove a story, whether you tell it to me, I'll tell it to me, whether I'll pass the shit. Again, I don't take anything as true until I can prove it. All the evidence that they have. The reason why it took so long is the district attorney wanted to wait and wait and wait till they made sure they could win in the courtroom. And I've done nobody on the court. They have more on this case than we do on most of them. I don't want you. The way you can help yourself out of this thing is to give us something. Even though it's very difficult.
You have what you need, so
We
why do you need to keep asking me?
Because you want to.
But if you have what you need, why do you keep asking me?
Because our goal is to find Gannon. Our goal is not to prosecute you. That is the district attorney's job. We're investigators. And like you've just seen, I do a poor job about half the time because I have to guess. Because as much as we try to track you with cars and your phones and whatever else, there are gaps. We do have, like I told you, the house, we do have the blood on, we have, do you know about the board that was thrown in the forest? Letitia?
Oh. What? What?
That's okay. The board that had Gannon's blood on it that was thrown in the forest.
All right, so what?
It's got your DNA on it.
Okay.
But then how do you explain stuff like that and then turn around and say, turn around and say, I don't know.
House with Gannon. I was Gannon's caretaker. I wouldn't be surprised if everything I done didn't involve Gannon. Whatever.
But that board was from the house, and then it's up on by Highway 105.
Board from the house. I've already explained to you about any kind of stuff that would have been from the foot. I've already told you that. I know what you.
But
I mean,
Gannon didn't go throw it up there.
Okay, so now for someone threw it
Or dropped or whatever. How did that board get up there?
Sure. You're going on about the
Well,
board.
Letitia,
And I already called about the board. You were there, right?
Yes.
And the stock and all this stuff, right?
Stock had nothing to do with it.
Okay. But yeah, he said a stock.
But he did say it's stock.
Right.
But the board is true.
Sir.
The board was right where your T1 was.
Sure. Pick one.
Yeah. Because we tracked it.
You could have gotten all that from me. You logged into that. It's not a difficult thing.
Right. But if you track from where your T1
But no,
was, and you look at where that board was.
Now, okay, it's so, like, backwards. So now my Tiguan, I was driving my Tiguan, and now, I mean, next, and you tried on the rental car, but then there's proof from the rental car, and I didn't even get to drive. So, I mean,
there's low miles.
John.
Yeah, but you won't.
But the
the watch up in the forest somewhere, isn't it?
No, that's the forest. You guys have to watch. It's that El Paso detention.
That's the watch there. I thought that an iWatch.
That is where the watch. Watch says it's sitting in El Paso County.
Okay. So your phone a couple of days. Between the Petco's.
But I have my phone.
Right. But what I'm saying.
The watch tells you where you go. I mean,
Yeah.
it's mirrored.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, we have holes in our investigation, and you can help us with that.
Or I didn't even drive my car anywhere really, other than going to meet friends.
You drove the Tiguan up.
Other than to meet friends, yes.
So who you meet? Our friends. That can be a lead. We can help find Gannon with.
You know all my friends, so maybe
No, we don't know those there.
that should be the ones that you really know.
We don't know the ones that.
Like the guy said, oh, peer pressure and all this, and you would have saw where if I stopped there or done whatever.
Can't you tell me though?
Sure.
Instead of making.
Like, I've already had to tell you everything personal about her life. You have everything personal.
I don't have